You went to the jail with his friend, according to your papers. You had the money, $5,000?
Yes, ma'am.
Only one person, according to what you say, the defendant told you could go into the room to bail him out. So you gave the $5,000, I assume in cash,
Yes.
to the defendant to post the bail. He did. Your son's case was subsequently disposed of, and the bail check released.
Right.
The defendant got the check for the bail. He did not give you back your money.
Right.
That's what you're suing him for, the $5,000. Now I'm going to hear your story.
I got a phone call on September 13th that Greg was arrested and that she had a certain amount of money to pay.
You got a call from?
Mrs. Porter.
Okay.
And that she can only get a certain amount of money to pay.
Don't look over there.
Oh.
Look over right.
To pay the bail, and she needed to pay the lawyer. So she asked me if I had
bail
money.
and lawyer.
And lawyer. She asked me if I had money to pay bail because she had the lawyer fee. So I went down. I was hesitant.
Just a second. So she said, do you have the money to pay the bail?
Yeah, she asked me if I had $5,000. And I said, and first it was $5,000, and she asked me before she had $1,000.
Go ahead.
Then I was a little reluctant to do it.
Why?
Because he's been going in and out of jail, and I didn't know if he was going to take off or not. So I wound up doing it because he was a friend of mine for a long time.
Do you know what he was incarcerated for?
Yes.
What?
10 bundles of heroin.
Wasn't his first drug arrest?
No.
Go ahead.
So we proceeded. I went there. I picked up Miss Porter. We went down to the...
You've never been arrested for drugs, have you?
No, I've never been arrested for drugs.
That's all? It's a question.
Okay. So we wound up going down to the jail. We both went inside. The correctional officer asked us to sit down. He called us back both up, and he said to both of us that one of us can only go pay the bail. The other person has to wait. She said, you gave me the $4,000. You go pay the bail. Greg owed me...
Just a second.
Yes.
Did she give you $1,000?
Yes, she did.
And you had $4,000?
Yes.
Where did you get the $4,000 from?
From my business account.
Show me.
I don't have any proof. I closed my business account.
When did this happen?
2 years ago.
Date?
September 13th.
2008?
Yes.
And when did you close your business account?
It was January of '09.
Business account was in what bank?
Capital One.
They're still in business. When did you take the money out?
September 13th, 2008.
We're going to get it. Just tell me why you closed your business account.
Because I went under. My business went under.
And you closed the account in 2009?
Yes.
Now, you took the money, according to you, out of where? The $5,000?
My brother's bank account.
Out of your brother's bank account?
My brother loaned me the money.
Show me. Do you have a bank account with your brother?
No, but I gave him a check for $5,000.
Show me.
It's on there.
Show me your check.
Oh, I don't have the check with me.
Listen, this is not evidence of a debt.
That does show the deposit for the $5,000 from her to her brother's bank account.
All I want to see is the check.
You can get that, Mama.
I want to see your check, and I want to see your bank statement where you took out $4,000 on September 13th. That's what I want to see. So, I'll see you later. Bye.
Please excuse. Step out, please.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'm not lying about this, so I mean, it doesn't matter.
So if you're not lying, Mrs. Porter is lying.
Absolutely.
And her brother is lying.
And later today,
You will be much more successful, Mr. Roy, if you just give me truthful answers. Because, sir, if you don't tell the truth, I'm going to make...
Christopher Ciccarelli stole a refund for a bail bond she posted on her son's behalf.
Your Honor, it's a recall of case number 270 in the matter of Porter versus Ciccarelli. Parties are reminded still under oath.
All right, Miss Porter, my clerks were able to secure the account of your brother and you, which suggests and demonstrate that you did, in fact, give him a check for $5,000.
Yes, ma'am.
On the 13th of September of 2008. That was the same day the bail was paid. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Ciccarelli, despite our best efforts and the clerk's best efforts and the lawyer who sits back here, her best efforts, we have been unable to secure anything from your bank that even suggests that they know who you are. Close your mouth, sir. We have not been able to get that. And I assume that you exercised your best efforts to try to get some proof for me that you withdrew $4,000 from an account.
Yes.
Well, what do you think I'm going to deduce from that, Mr. Ciccarelli?
I have the bankruptcy here.
I don't care about your bankruptcy. Who cares about your bankruptcy? Bank record.
Okay.
When did your business start to go south, Mr. Ciccarelli? Month and year?
Probably November, December of '08.
How much were you earning before that?
About $3,000 a week.
What kind of business was it?
Chimneys.
Chimneys what?
Building, repairing.
How long did you have the business?
About 4 years.
And how old are you?
I'm 33.
What did you do before that?
Chimneys.
For somebody else?
Yes.
What are you doing now?
Chimneys.
For somebody else?
Yes.
You have a bank account where you put your checks?
Yes, I do.
With what bank?
Bank of Smithtown.
Is that where you've been living?
No, I live in Sound Beach.
How long have you lived in Sound Beach?
5 years.
Who do you live with?
My wife?
You have children?
Yes.
You live in a house or an apartment?
In house?
You own your own home?
Yes.
5 years?
3 years.
In whose name is the house?
It's under my mother-in-law.
When was it transferred to your mother-in-law's name?
It's always been under my mother. We bought it from my mother-in-law.
You bought it from her?
Yes.
Is the house listed in your bankruptcy papers?
No.
Why wasn't the title ever transferred to you and your wife?
Because we couldn't get approved for the thing because of the bankruptcy.
Well, you didn't file for bankruptcy, sir, until later. You've been in the house longer than the bankruptcy.
I know, but we didn't wind up buying it from my mother-in-law until afterwards because she was going into foreclosure.
So you took it over,
Yes.
but not formally?
No.
You just live there?
Yes.
And pay the mortgage?
Yes.
You pay the mortgage by check?
Yes.
And you've been paying the mortgage by check from the same bank since you took the mortgage over 3 years ago?
Correct.
Do you get where I'm going, Mr. Ciccarelli?
Yeah, but it was a different, my business was a different bank
Well, why would you take money out of your business?
because I didn't want my wife to see the money taken out of our account.
So you're going to lie to her?
Yes, I was.
And when you were going to lie to her, were you going to look at her the same way as you're looking at me right now and telling me the story?
I'm not lying about this, so I mean, it doesn't matter.
So if you're not lying, she's lying. I just want to know, if you're
Yeah.
not lying, Mrs. Porter is lying.
Absolutely.
And her brother is lying.
They got that money for their lawyer. That was the money for their lawyer. So where did the lawyer get paid?
Well, that's an interesting question. I'm going to ask them. What's the name of the lawyer you used?
William,
Has your son's case been resolved?
yes, it has.
What was the disposition of the case?
It was dismissed.
Mr. will represent your son until the dismissal?
Yes, he did, ma'am.
What was his fee?
I don't know. My son took care of that.
Your Honor, I took the payments over and I paid it.
Did Mr. represent you with the arraignment?
Yes, he did.
Who retained him?
My mother.
On what date did your mother retain him? You were released on bail on the 13th, which means that you were arraigned prior to the 13th,
Correct.
which means that Mr. is not going to the arraignment without a retainer. No question about that. And you were arrested for felony count heroin possession.
Yes.
How much did Mr. charge as a retainer?
It was $1,000 up front, I believe, and then it was $3,800 after that.
Who paid it?
I believe my mom paid the first payment, and then I took the payments on after that.
If I were to call Mr. would he say to me that he charged $1,000 up front to go to the arraignment?
Yes, he would.
And then $3,800?
Yes, he would.
And you paid him $1,000 when, Miss Porter?
I guess the week after my son was arraigned.
No, criminal lawyers don't wait until the week after. Criminal lawyers want their money before they go to the arraignment.
He's been a family lawyer for many years, so he works with us.
Mr. has represented your family in what kind of matters before?
All kind of legal matters. Buying, selling a house,
Divorce.
divorce.
And he represented you throughout the pendency of these criminal proceedings?
Yes, he has.
I believe them. Don't believe you, sir. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step
Thank
out.
you, Your Honor.
All he did was put the bail money in with the court. That's all he did.
He used to come to my house. I went to his daughter's christening. I made a quilt for his daughter.
There is no friendship. There hasn't been a friendship.
I couldn't believe it. I mean, he's been like a son.
Never do anything for him.
I don't want to hear from him ever again.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Marchetti versus Roja. Step forward, please.
23-year-old gym manager Sean Marchetti II is suing his stepbrother, 25-year-old Dominic Roja, for towing and storage fees for a truck he sold him.
Mr. Marchetti, the defendant is your stepbrother. You claim to have sold him a truck.
Yes.
And because of his irresponsibility, the truck got towed, and you're now being done for all kinds of money because he never had the truck transferred into his name.
Yes.
You want the credit company paid.
Yes.
You want them off your back. And Mr. Roja has what is potentially, if it's true, a legitimate defense. So I want to start with you, Mr. Marchetti. What year truck was this?
This was a 1995 Isuzu.
And when did you sell the truck to your brother?
In July of 2009.
When had you purchased it?
I was
Don't
actually,
look over there.
It was actually.
Look at me.
It was actually.
Look.
It was a gift from my grandpa who actually just passed away. So this truck does have sentimental value to it.
Oh, get over. If it had sentimental value, you wouldn't have sold it.
It was to my stepbrother.
Listen
who
to
was
me.
His grandfather.
Let's
too.
not play with me.
Okay.
You're not adorable to me. The truck was a gift. When did you get it?
I got it in probably 2008, January
What are you
2008.
looking over there for? Why can't you look right here? Stand still. Stop moving foot to foot. Look right here. You
January
got it?
2008.
Did you title the truck in your name?
Yes, I did.
When?
In the middle of.
Don't look over there. Look over here. In the middle of what?
In the middle of 08, January.
Well, January would be the beginning of 2008, not
Yes.
the middle of 2008.
Yes.
What do you mean, yes? Those are two different things.
The middle of January in 2008.
When did it have to be re-registered?
It had to be re-registered in the beginning of 2009.
Did you do that?
No, I did not.
So January of 09, it was not registered.
Yes.
Had you received any citations on that truck?
Yes. I had
How?
a toll violation.
How many?
One toll violation.
Did you pay it?
No, I did not.
So that there were outstanding violations on the truck at the time you sold it to Mr. Roja.
Yes, but I had told him that when I sold it to him.
Don't tell me what you told him.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I don't believe most of what you say, sir. I think that there's a whole lot more to the story that I'm hearing, and I quite frankly don't have time for it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sean Marchetti II says his stepbrother, Dominic Roja, owes for towing and storage fees for a truck he sold him. Dominic claims, due to Sean's negligence, he couldn't register the truck.
Now, there were outstanding violations on the truck, so it could not be registered.
Unless the ticket was paid, yes. But I had told him. And I put as is on my bill of sale, too.
As is means the truck is sold as is, not that you have encumbrances on it.
When our verbal agreement, he said
Don't
that
tell me what your verbal agreement was, sir. You have a sales contract?
Yes, I do.
Does it say anywhere in that sales contract that there are outstanding violations on this truck and you cannot register it unless they are paid? Does it say that on that?
No, it does not, ma'am.
That it doesn't exist. So the truck was towed after you took possession of it.
Yes.
How much did you pay for it, Mr. Roja?
$400.
And when did you purchase it from him?
July 2009.
How long did you drive it before it was towed?
Well, I didn't drive it too often because it wasn't in my
How
name.
many months did, Mr. Roja, I don't want you to think of where I'm going with these questions. You will be much more successful, sir, as you can see with Mr. Marchetti. If you stop banging, you will be much more successful, Mr. Roja, if you just give me truthful answers. Because, sir, if you don't tell the truth, I'm going to make you look like a fool. Do we understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
How many months did you drive the car before it was towed?
Probably good 6 to 8 months.
So you got your $400 worth out of it.
Yes.
Perfect. And then it was towed.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know what it was towed for?
For not being registered and not having the plates on the vehicle, yeah.
Now, you say, Mr. Roja, that you couldn't register this car despite the fact that you had paid $400 for it because it was encumbered by these tickets.
Right.
Did you try to register the car?
I did. I went to the DMV.
Tell me what happened when you got there.
Well, went in there, told them I would like to register the car in my name. And
Did you have a bill of sale with you?
I don't remember.
Did you have the title with you?
Yes.
And he had signed it over to you?
Yes.
Great, so far. Now, I believe that. And then you were told that they couldn't register the car because it was encumbered with tickets.
Right.
Did they tell you how much?
I don't remember if they did or not, no.
Was it a lot of money?
It was more than I had, yeah.
Did you call Mr. Marchetti, your stepbrother?
I did.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
Yes, I called him, let him know that I was upset because he didn't let me know that there were tickets on the vehicle when I bought the car from him, and that it hadn't been registered the previous year, so that was an additional fee that I couldn't afford.
Well, don't you have a registration that says whether the car is up to date in its registration?
Yes, but the original license plates had been stolen, so he was using replacement plates, and so...
Where did he get replacement plates from?
I guess from the DMV.
When did you get replacement plates from the DMV?
My plate was stolen in the summer.
Summer of what?
2008. Basically what happened is they used those plates for a crime. So they'd give me replacement plates because they didn't want me to keep that same plate number because it was used in a crime.
You sold him the car in July of 2009.
Yes.
Between January 2009 and July of 2009, where was the car?
It was with me until July. It was just parked in front of my house.
You mean you just let it sit there?
Yeah.
You just let it sit there?
Yeah.
And when you purchased the car in July of 09, sir, was it running?
Yes, it was.
Well, then somebody must have been using the car, Mr. Marchetti, because if you don't use a 15-year-old car for 6 months, chances are the batteries did.
Not this car. This car was a trooper.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Are you in a family dispute? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Mr. Marchetti, pay your own bill. He paid $400 for a car that he couldn't register. I don't believe most of what you say, sir. I think you're fudging it. I think that there's a whole lot more to the story that I'm hearing, and I quite frankly don't have time for it. All I know is this. You sold a car that could not be registered. It was towed. That's your problem.
But if I have a bill of sale that says as is, why is it my responsibility?
Because I tried to explain something to you, Mr. Marchetti. You didn't have your listening ears on about 5 minutes ago. The as-is part of your contract refers to the mechanical operation of the car, not whether it is encumbered by tickets. Do you understand now? Now, I did tell you that before, and I told it to you twice, and the rest of it, I don't answer.
So the ticket, so if there was one ticket, the bill of sale's out the door, and then it comes back on me?
Yes. Yes. Thank you very much. Your case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Yeah, this is case number 320 on the calendar, the matter of Dios versus Davis.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Judge parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Miss Dios, the defendant was a former friend and then a boyfriend of yours, and you claim he owes you for some bills, a loan, some rent, and a confiscated gun.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you want to explain to me the living situation between the two of you?
The living situation was that it was a one-room suite. We started off as friends. We were dating for a short period of time. We broke up after roughly 2 weeks, and we remained friends at that point.
Let's go.
Did you want, like, more
Well, I want to know,
detail?
he moved into, you want rent from him. Rent for what period?
From August and September, Your Honor.
When did he live with you?
He moved in May, Your Honor. And he was paying rent up to August, and then he wasn't able to, or whatever his problem was.
And
I would have been willing to wait, you know, had he intended to pay me a little later, but he just kind of decided he wasn't going to pay me when we started fighting. He started getting jealous of the fact that I was studying with friends and hanging out with other friends, and
well,
they were
this was in
guys.
a one-room apartment, so I assume that you shared the bedroom. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So he paid when he first came, and then he stopped paying in August?
Correct.
Did you tell him to leave in August?
No.
No. What about September? Did he pay in September?
He was also not paying in September.
Did you tell him to leave in September?
Yes, I told him to start looking for a place to live.
Great. And that was because he wasn't paying rent, or is that because you were fighting?
Both, Your Honor.
Fine. Did he find another place to live?
He said he was looking. He
Did you
did
find
not.
another place to live?
No,
Where are you living?
in my car at the moment.
When did you move out of her studio into your car?
October 1st.
Why are you living in your car?
I'm waiting for an apartment to come through. I should be moving into an apartment next week, but right now I'm just living in my car. I don't have a place to stay at the moment.
What kind of car are you living in?
The 2001 Civic.
And where do you park it to sleep?
Sometimes I leave it near a friend's house or leave it in a little Tokyo or a parking garage.
And you shower at friends' houses?
Yes.
What's the name of the last friend with whom you showered?
Daniel?
Did you sometimes stay in his house?
Sometimes, yes.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure
Sure.
that this living in my car wasn't something that I was visualizing you doing on a regular basis.
Not every night.
Right. Okay. As long as we understand each other. Okay, do you owe her rent?
No, I do not.
Were you paying her rent?
We didn't have any verbal contract to pay rent, but I was giving her money here and there to help out.
How much money were you giving her here and there?
I tried to give her $300 a month just to consider it close to half the rent.
Just a second. $300 per month. And you gave her $300 per month when?
From when I moved in until August.
What happened in August?
We started fighting and arguing, and it just became a really hostile living environment.
But you stayed there in August.
I did.
So you owe her $300 for August. And what about September? Did you stay there in September?
I did, Your Honor.
Did you pay her for September?
No, I did not.
Then you owe her $300 for September. What else do you think he owes you for?
Ma'am, I lent him $800 to get his car out of impound.
When?
This was on the 13th of August.
How did your car wind up in impound?
When I first moved out here to California from Missouri, I was staying with my uncle. Stayed with him for about a year. We had some disagreements, and I had to move out. I was living in a homeless shelter, and I stayed there for 6 months. And
Wait,
I did
don't
acquire.
need a whole story.
All right. Well, I acquired.
This is not War and Peace. Just me about your car.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I got some tickets while I was homeless, and I forgot about them, and my car was rightfully impounded.
Why did you get tickets?
I was parked in illegal spots.
Why would you park in illegal spots if you had no money?
I was looking for a place to sleep at the time, or leave my car. I wasn't able to leave my car at the homeless shelter.
Do you know that I actually don't believe your story?
Okay. I'm not sure why.
It's simple. Because I'm looking at you, and I don't believe that somebody who looks relatively normal would park their car when they had no money for a place to live in an illegal spot, risking getting parking tickets and getting load of parking tickets and just ignoring them and continuing to park illegally.
I wasn't driving my car, Your Honor. I didn't have a job. I was homeless. I was just trying to find a place to leave it.
So why can't you park in a legal parking space?
In Pasadena, you can't park it anywhere overnight. You get tickets. So I didn't have a private lot.
So why do you have to stay in Pasadena?
That's where the homeless shelter is.
That's the only homeless shelter?
There are others, but that was the program that I was following. That's what I was allowed into.
Well, explain that to me.
Well, you have to do an intake through the homeless shelter. You go through passageways, and then you have to do overnight guests. And if they determine that your behavior is okay, then they let you into the homeless shelter and you become a resident. And you live there, and they move you into a bed, and you have to stay there and follow their program. Attend their meetings, look for a job, put money away, and when you move out of the shelter, they give you the money back.
And what did they tell you to do with the car?
They told me just to figure it out.
So you figured it out by just leaving it in illegal spots?
I gambled on occasions, and I did lose.
Okay. So if you gambled, you lost, they're your tickets, you pay for them. Why should she pay for them?
Well, it was her choice to help me out.
No, I understand you didn't put her on a rack, but it was your choice to behave irresponsibly. It was your choice to take a risk. It was your choice to gamble with getting a ticket. You did get a ticket. You did, in fact, ignore it. Why should somebody else assume that responsibility?
Well, I was content with the car being impounded. I was planning on selling it anyway.
Well, impounded doesn't mean that you could sell it.
Right. And
Fine. You prepared to turn it over to the plaintiff?
No.
Just a second. If it didn't make any difference to you whether you had a car or not, because you were planning on getting rid of it anyway, and you couldn't get it out of impound because you didn't have the money, why don't we just turn the car over to the plaintiff and she'll sell it and recoup the money from the sale for the parking tickets? Why don't we do that? I'll write the order. How do you like that?
I would not like that, Your Honor.
Well, then why are you giving me a bunch of baloney that you were planning on getting rid of the car anyway and it could have stayed in impound? It didn't really make much difference to you. That's what the connotation of what you were saying to me, Mr. Davis.
Well, I was hoping...
What were you hoping for?
Well, when the impound had my car, I was going to let them just keep it, but they told me that they were going to...
No. Listen to me. Let them keep it. That means that it builds up fees every day.
Yes.
You could never get it out.
I know that.
What I'm suggesting to you is, why don't we just turn it over to Miss Dios and let her sell the car and recoup some of her losses?
Well, Your Honor, I would not like that, mostly because at the moment I am currently homeless. I'm trying to get into the homeless shelter again, but it takes time. So in the meantime...
Meanwhile, you're staying with your friend. So how come we don't have, yes, of course, Miss Dios can have the car. She paid to get it out of impound, and I don't have the money to give her.
But we never had an agreement that I had to pay her back.
Mr. Davis, you following where I'm going, sir?
Yeah, for the most part.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He started kicking the chair I was sitting in. He gave me a nice bruise on my thigh, pushed me around. The gun is what he told the cops I had threatened him with, and I didn't even have any ammo for it.
And later today,
You don't have a pair of long pants?
I assume this is appropriate since it's sold in stores.
Did you ever go to church?
Yes, I did.
Would you wear that outfit to church?
No, I wouldn't.
No.
Ann Dios says ex-boyfriend Thomas Davis owes for rent, a loan, property damage, and for the value of a confiscated gun.
Okay, now you want to get into this gun situation, please?
Happily, Your Honor. The reason he moved out the 1st of October was I had to call the cops on him. It was a very unpleasant event. I had to get on my computer. That meant waking him up on accident because his legs were in the way of the chair. And he said something quite rude to me, and so I decided, okay, I have to study, I have to put up with his presence because he wasn't moving out, and I was having to go through an eviction process, possibly, to get rid of him. So I decided I was going to listen to music while I studied because...
Whatever.
Whatever. So he decided he was going to kind of fly off the handle. He started kicking the chair I was sitting in. He gave me a nice bruise on my thigh. He pushed me around. The gun is what he told the cops I had threatened him with, even though I hadn't, and I didn't even have any ammo for it.
So they confiscated it?
They confiscated it because he told them that I had threatened him with it. It was a malicious act.
Have you asked for it back?
I have, Your Honor.
And?
And I cannot get it back because it's currently being held by the detectives. They're still writing the report on the incident, but
well, then you'll get it back.
Well, they're saying that I won't because it's not registered to me. It's still registered under my father. And
But then you may not. Then you can't have it.
But the only reason it was confiscated, Your Honor, was because he claimed that I threatened him with it.
Ms. Diaz, I can't help you with the gun matter. If you're legally entitled to get the gun back, they are obligated to return the lawful weapon to you. If it's not a lawful weapon, I can't compensate you for having a weapon that you shouldn't have had in your house to begin with being confiscated. I know that that may be a difficult thing for you to understand, so close your mouth. Courts can't compensate you for illegal activity, irrespective of who brought the illegal activity to the attention of the police. Having a gun that is not registered in your name is something that you can't have. And if the police refuse to return it to you, so be it. But he owes you $1,400, $6 for rent and $8 for your loan. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
We just started fighting and it became a hostile living environment, and we just didn't really get along after a while.
When he attacked me the morning of the 1st, it was all one-sided.
It was a really nasty fight. She hit me with a chair, woke me up out of my sleep.
He just flew off the handle.
We got into a huge argument. We started pushing each other around, and she threatened to shoot me.
Lied to the cops when they got there.
The cops said we could either both go to jail or none of us go to jail.
He didn't like me breaking up with him.
In order to keep both of us out of jail, they had to separate us.
He didn't like the fact that I was studying with other friends.
I wish we were able to get along better.
Do not let a friend move in for any period of time, because if you're not the landlord or the owner, you can't just evict them.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Johnson versus View, step forward.
Chad Johnson is suing his former friend, 21-year-old Casey View, for loans to get his car out of impound and to have it repaired.
Who is this person?
This is my sister.
Is she a witness to these proceedings? Did she know she was coming to court today?
She knows.
Where's the rest of her outfit?
That was the most professional clothing she could find, I guess.
You don't have a pair of long pants?
I do, but I assume this is appropriate since it's sold in stores.
Since it's what?
Sell in stores.
Sold in, like, business apparel stores?
Yes, business apparel.
Different kind of business, I guess.
Do you go to church?
No, I'm a Christian.
Did you ever go to church?
Yeah.
Did you ever go to church?
Yes, I did.
Would you wear that outfit to church?
No, I wouldn't.
No. You know, I just want to know where your head was at. Now, you claim you loaned him some money twice. He was a friend of yours.
Correct.
He says that on one occasion there was no money exchanged, even though you had contemplated it because he needed some money to get his car out of impound. He says that he never received the money. And the second loan, which was a small one to fix the fuel pump on his car, he paid you by letting you have his computer. Do I have that right?
That's correct.
What is your sister a witness to?
She's the one who loaned me the $200.
Does she have bank statements to show me that?
She does not have a bank account. She just cashes her check.
I'm hungry. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, well, I do have a bank statement.
Just tell me what the money was for. He was your friend. Let's go. When was it?
Okay, it was on 5/7. I pulled out $200 from my account to loan him to get his car out of impound.
Go ahead.
And a few weeks after that...
Did you give it to him?
The money? I didn't personally hand it to him. I left it on some DVDs because I had to go to work that day.
No,
and he came over.
Shh. Hey.
You
left it on top of DVDs where?
Right by my front entrance of the door. I put it actually under a case. I have a DVD booklet. I put the $200 underneath the DVD booklet and left my door unlocked, and I said it's...
Great, it's gone.
Right.
He never got it. Next.
And then a few weeks later, he called me up saying this car wouldn't start. So I went over and looked at it, and I didn't have the proper tools, so I said, well, I'll use my AAA to get the car towed to my house so I could take a better look at it.
Well, can you use your AAA in order to have somebody else's car towed?
Well, I didn't charge him labor.
No, I'm just asking you a question. You have AAA. Are you allowed to use your AAA to get a friend's car towed?
Yes, you are.
You are?
Yes.
Why would anybody? One person in the United States should have AAA, and everybody else should use it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You see what happens, sir, when you're trying to fun with me? You get to trip over your tongue. I actually do enjoy watching it. It's part of the pleasure of my business.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Chad Johnson claims former friend Casey View owes for 2 unpaid loans. Casey says Chad took his laptop for collateral, so he doesn't owe.
Okay. So you used your AAA to get his car towed to your house?
Correct.
And?
And I diagnosed it and found out that the fuel pump was no longer working. So I told him that, and I said, I will do the work for you. I won't charge you any labor, but you have to buy the part. And he agreed to that. So a few days...
Had you had a discussion about the previous money that you allege you loaned to him?
Yes.
Because at that time, he had already, according to you, taken you for $200, and now it's $200 plus parts.
What happened was, he didn't pay me back yet when the car repair had, and I said, originally I had said that...
Just a sec. Do you see what happens, sir, when you're trying to fun with me? You get to trip over your tongue. I actually do enjoy watching it.
Oh, yeah?
Every once in a while, it's part of the pleasure of my business. Let's start again.
Okay.
He hadn't given you the money back that you had previously, according to you, loaned to him.
Correct.
Now you're going to advance him money. You used your AAA, you got the car towed to your house, and the car needed a fuel pump, and you were going to advance him the money for the fuel pump, despite the fact that he had not paid you back an initial $200 loan. So far, is that correct?
That is correct.
Now you're going to explain to me why, with trying not to trip over your tongue.
Okay, there's a very good reason for that. He was telling me that he was at risk of losing his job because he could not get to work because he did not have a car. So if he lost his job, he would not be able to pay me back. So I made the proposal. I said, tell you what, you give me $50 out of every paycheck. I will go get the part, and I will put it in your car, and then you can get to work. So that's what I did. He agreed to those terms.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a technician. That's what I do.
What kind of technician?
I'm automated conveyor systems.
Who do you work for?
Super Value.
How long?
I've been there for 5 years.
What do you do for a living, Mr. View?
I am a customer service manager at Walmart.
How long have you worked for them?
About 7 months.
When did the plaintiff put a fuel pump in your car?
I would say May.
May of 2010?
Yep, around my birthday.
Yep is not an answer.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes is an answer. Yep goes with that outfit.
The $200 he says he loaned me.
Forget the $200. He left the door unlocked. Somebody else took it. What's next?
For the fuel pump, it's true, he did fix my car and tow it with his AAA, but our agreement was that he would take my laptop as collateral, which he did. And then about a month later, there was a guy coming into town for Pride, which was Gay Pride, what we were having, which was apparently his crush, and he told me not to talk to the guy. And I went over to the guy to talk to him, which upset him. So he decides to ask for his money back.
Just a second. Where's your computer?
He has my computer. I gave
Your
it to him.
laptop?
Yep, my laptop.
Do you have his laptop?
I do not have his laptop. He told me it was stolen. He told me it was stolen.
If it was
I
stolen,
do
I
not
would
have
have
his
filed a
laptop.
police report.
Just a second. Did he give you his laptop?
He did not give me his laptop.
Did you ever have possession of his laptop?
I never had possession of his laptop.
Well, what's the story about the laptop?
He asked if he could use the laptop as collateral to do the fuel pump, and I said, yes, you can. But supposedly, a few days later, his laptop got stolen.
If it was stolen, I would have filed a police report.
And it was a $200 laptop. I don't think you can file a police report for something that small.
Don't answer him. I want to see the bill for the fuel pump.
Sure. I have that right here.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Are you the victim of a scam? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Okay, the fuel pump was $269?
Yes.
When did he put the fuel pump in your car?
It took him like 2 weeks. I'm not sure, May.
You owe him $269.24 for the fuel pump.
Why do I owe him? The only reason why he's doing this is because I wouldn't sleep with him.
I don't care.
I have papers saying that he would take the laptop and the original receipt.
Listen to me, my friend. You owe him $269 for the fuel pump. Is that car still working?
It is, but he has my laptop, like I said.
I don't believe it.
Well, it says on paper that he's willing to accept my laptop.
Just a second. When you give somebody collateral, that doesn't mean that you've paid for it.
Well, he has my laptop. He took it as collateral.
You owe him $269 for the fuel pump.
Okay.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Yeah, this is case number 289 on the calendar, the matter of Miga versus Valenzuela.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Mr. Meager, this is your daughter, this is your son.
Correct.
How old are you?
I'm 17.
How old are you?
18.
Give me the date of this incident that this lawsuit is about.
March 27th.
March 27th, 2010.
Correct.
And how old were you at that time?
18.
And you somehow picked up young Mr. Valenzuela to go to a party.
Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Now it's case number 310 on the calendar, the matter of Pennington versus Mobley.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Miss Pennington, when did you and the defendant start to date?
April of this year.
And when for the first time did you loan him money?
I loaned him money 3 weeks after that.
For what?
I gave him money for his car to be fixed, as well as money to get his LA Fitness back on order.
And how much were those two loans?
I gave him a couple $100 for AutoZone to get fixed for his car, and then another $150 for his LA Fitness membership.
Tell me how that came about.
He text messaged me asking me for money to get his car fixed to go back and forth to work, and I felt as though I needed to help him being his girlfriend, which we were in a relationship, a committed relationship within probably 2 weeks of when we met.
That's some commitment.
Yes. He asked me for the money to get his car fixed, and then he also asked me to...
Well, what did he say to you?
He said that he was not able to get back and forth to work, that he needed to get a head gasket set put on his car, and I loaned him the money.
Go ahead.
First of all, Yana, she was never my girlfriend. Everything that she gave me...
Don't start with everything. Let's start with car repair.
Yes, ma'am. The car repair, she gave it to me.
Well, tell me how she knew that your car needed repair.
I told her my car, my car
Well,
broke
tell
down.
me when, how did you tell her? Did you call her? Did you write her? Did you text her? Did you tell her when you were having lunch? How did you tell her that your car needed repair, Mr. Mobley?
On the telephone, Yana.
So you picked up the phone and you told her?
We was talking on the phone, and...
And you said?
I told her that my car was broke, and I needed help get my car fixed.
My car was?
My car needed to be fixed.
And you needed?
A head gasket.
You needed?
Help. My bad, John.
Now, at this time, according to you, she wasn't your girlfriend.
No.
And she was never your girlfriend.
No.
Well, then why would you ask her for money?
Because she said she'd help me.
No. Listen, I am older than Methuselah. However, I do have an intact memory of my dating time, when I was a younger person. And I don't remember ever saying to anybody, I'm going to help you out financially, unless they told me that they needed being helped financially. So my question to you is, why would you, Mr. Mobley, tell somebody that you weren't involved in a relationship with, that you needed help? Could they give you money?
She offered, John.
There's something wrong with you.
Yana, she offered to help me, Yana. And when I told her my car was
Just a second. Why would you tell someone that you weren't in a relationship, committed relationship with? Why would you have a conversation? My car's not right. I don't have money to fix it. I needed to go to work. Why would you burden somebody that you weren't in a relationship with all that baloney?
Because I knew she'd help me. Like, you know.
Ah, there you go. Because you knew. Just a second. I don't think you're adorable, by the way.
I think you are, though, Yana.
Though that's very good. You're right, I am. I don't think you are.
Okay.
So you told her, now we got it right. Now you told her you're tailable because you knew she would help you. That's being dishonest. And you knew she would help you because she liked you and because she thought you were in a relationship.
She loved me.
She loved you.
Yeah.
So then you were being doubly dishonest. You were playing on her emotions even though you knew you weren't in a committed relationship. Who are you?
I'm his friend, Your Honor. It was roommate.
Why didn't he ask you for money?
Because I'm in the same boat as he is, Your Honor.
Sit. Do you understand where I'm going, Mr. Mobley?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm trying to think if that is just a big empty suit that you're wearing. And so far, it's coming up empty. So far, it's coming up empty, Mr. Mobley. It's showing me a lot of bad character. So far, you needed money for your car under false pretenses because you asked somebody who cared for you, and you played on that to extract money from her. You're going to pay for your own car. And the car was $200. Now, did you use the same ploy when you needed money for your LA Fitness membership?
She took it upon herself, Your Honor, and called LA Fitness.
Did she?
Yes.
Okay. Let me see how that came about, Mr. Mobley. You work at LA Fitness. You train people there. That's what I gather from here.
I work out at LA Fitness.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a professional fighter.
So you're a professional fighter and you work out at LA Fitness?
I work out at LA Fitness, yes. That's to lift weights. I work for a company called XFC. It's a extreme fighting championship. We do cage fighting, like UFC.
Great. But you work out at LA Fitness?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what would cause Miss Pennington to call LA Fitness? Look at me. What would cause her, as opposed to calling De Beers for diamonds, or Harry Winston for a necklace, or Kmart for toilet paper, what would cause her to call LA Fitness?
First of all, I don't shop at Kmart.
Now, just a second. I don't. You understand? So you're not auditioning here, Mr. Mobley.
I know, Your Honor.
This is my program.
Okay.
So there's only one star here. Him.
All right.
Do we understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. What would cause her to call LA Fitness?
We talked. We had a conversation.
And Mr. Mobley.
We had a conversation, Your Honor,
about.
But I did not ask her to pay it.
No, that's not what I asked you. I said you had a conversation with her, and in the conversation you said
my LA Fitness membership has expired.
And
that was it. I didn't ask her to pay it, Your Honor. So it wasn't like
right?
I asked her.
Go ahead.
I actually have 90 pages of text messages stating exactly what happened during the car episode, exactly what happened during LA Fitness.
90
I have soft copy and I still have a hard
car
copy.
is a done deal. Car was $200.
Right.
LA Fitness is what I want to see. Just the emails from him about LA Fitness.
Yes, they're all in here as well.
Just take them out. I'm not going to read 90 pages.
No, I know.
Yeah. This is incomprehensible. They're going to put something like this in a time capsule and bring it out 200 years from now and say that this was a generation of people who were total illiterates because of this texting business. The text speak. It's illiterate.
Oh, yeah.
Do I get to see that, Your Honor?
Yeah.
Because I don't recall saying anything, so.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're not going to con me, sir. You may be a really good bouncer at a club, and you may be really good with the ladies, but I guarantee you, I could wrap you around here. The only thing is I have 8 other cases to do today, and you're beginning to bore me.
And later today.
And in addition to drawing a salary from the business, you also paid for your tan.
No, ma'am.
Believe me, I'm looking at her. She didn't go for a tan. That would be you.
cases, real people. Judge Judy. Margaret Pennington says ex-boyfriend Ombe Mobley owes for several unpaid loans. Ombe claims Margaret offered to help him out.
Would you please show this to Mr. Mobley?
Sure.
Thank you. But, Your Honor, anybody can send text messages.
Just a minute. I'm not asking you anybody. You asked to look at it. I'm showing it to you.
I don't remember sending this text message.
You don't remember it?
No, I
want you to read those through and tell me if any of the facts in those ring a familiar bell to you.
No.
Nothing?
No.
Well, then let me ask you more specifically, Mr. Mobley. I'll take it back. Who wrote, Miss Pennington, what time do you have to be in St. Cloud?
I did.
I don't know nobody in St. Cloud.
It was a fighting match he had to go to that day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true. I did have a fight.
Now, tell me about the probationary fines you paid for and when.
I paid for them on 7/16 of this year and 7/22 of this year.
How much?
$236.90, $751.90, and $236.90.
What were your probationary fines for, Mr. Mobley? Is not an answer, sir. What did you get into trouble for?
I got federally indicted by the feds for cocaine.
When?
5 years ago.
Did you serve any jail time?
Yes, a little bit, Your Honor.
How much?
Your Honor, that's behind me. I'd rather not talk about that.
I don't care what you want to talk about, then you pay the money.
No.
They're your fines. And if we're going to find out what they are, then we'll find out what they are.
The fines is for, it was court fees.
So are you prepared to pay them?
No.
Very good. Then we'll get back to what were you convicted of, sir?
I was convicted of possession of cocaine when attempted to distribute.
And how much time did you serve?
I served a month, Your Honor.
And how much probation?
Probation was 5 years.
She paid several sets of fines. Were they all involving the same charge?
Yes.
All?
Yes.
Well, why didn't you pay the fines?
She offered to pay the fines.
Why didn't you pay the fines?
Because I couldn't pay him at that time, Your Honor.
Why not? You bought that nice suit. Not at that time, at any time.
I was in a bind.
What do you mean you were in a bind? You're a big, strong guy. Go and wait tables. Go and work in a club. Go and work in McDonald's. Do something. You have probation fines. You pay them. Why should she pay your probation fines? She didn't sell cocaine.
No, she didn't, but Your Honor, this was 5 years ago. This was 5 years ago.
She didn't sell cocaine 5 years ago or 10 years ago or yesterday. You did.
Yes.
They're your fines.
Yes.
So who should pay them?
She offered to pay him.
You're an idiot.
I should pay him, but she offered to pay him.
You sold the cocaine. You pay the fines. That's the way the law works. You con somebody else into paying the fines, we should put you back in jail. They should have put you back in jail anyway if you didn't pay the fines.
A second chance, Your Honor. Everybody deserves a second chance.
Well, they gave you a second chance.
And I'm taking
as part
advantage
of
of my
your second chance, they said you have to pay these fines. That's part of the second chance. We're not going to put you in jail for 5 years. We're going to put you in jail for a month. And we're going to say, take a second chance, but you got to pay these fines. You say, I'm not paying these fines. I'm going to get some broad to pay my fines.
I didn't say that, Your Honor. I didn't say that at all.
Well, then how would she know, Mr. Mobley, since she wasn't your girlfriend and you weren't in an intimate relationship with her?
We was intimate.
No. No, just, Mr. Mobley. Mr. Mobley, having a physical relationship with somebody, as you well told me 5 minutes ago, doesn't mean you're in an intimate relationship. You said she wasn't my girlfriend.
But she knew that, Your Honor. She knew.
There's something wrong with you. You think you're going to con me like you've been conning other people now for years? You're not going to con me, sir. You may be really good at fighting mixed martial arts, and you may be really good with the ladies, but I guarantee you I can wrap you around here. The only thing is I have 8 other cases to do today, and you're beginning to bore me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
the camera will find that in your face so that the 10 million people who watch this will see that look that I'm talking about. They're becoming very clued into that look, Mr. Clemens. The camera gets liars.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Margaret Pennington says ex-boyfriend Ombe Mobley owes for several unpaid loans. Ombe claims Margaret offered to help him out.
Now, let's understand each other.
Yes.
You sold the drugs.
Yes.
You pay the fines. We understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $15.75. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
If a person offered to pay it, what I'm going to say, no.
No, I don't think you saw me as a dollar sign.
If a person walked up to you right now and say, yo, I'm going to give you $1 million,
And I just think that I have a good heart, and I was trying to help him out.
what you going to say, no?
I guess everybody learns from their mistakes. It was my mistake.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of O'Boyle versus Clemens step forward.
Mary Katie O'Boyle is suing her former business partner, Jeremy Clemens, for taking money from their business account, a tax debt, and accountant fees.
Miss O'Boyle, you and Mr. Clements went into a business venture together, according to your complaint, and that business adventure was a salon business.
Yes.
It didn't work out. Business is no longer viable, but it is your claim. Did you pay a Comcast bill out of this?
I do not know, Your Honor.
Well, if you don't know, and that's what it says, then I guess you did. Sally Mae. Sally Mae what?
It's a student loan bill.
$336.99. That sound right?
That wasn't what I paid monthly, but
I didn't ask you whether you paid it monthly. Maybe you missed a month.
I might have.
Might have. What about Sunoco, sir?
I did go on a business trip for the salon, which I did use the card for gas.
And how much did you put into the business account from that business trip?
How much did I put into the business account, ma'am?
There's an echo in here, Mr. Clemens. My question is, how much did you put into the business account from that business trip?
Well, I didn't take a paycheck. So basically, it depends on how much I had from that week that I would have made.
I don't think you're cute, actually. I don't think you're cute. I think that you did the wrong thing.
No, ma'am, Your Honor. She knew every...
Don't tell me what she knew. First of all, I'm looking at you and you're lying. First of all, I'm looking at you, and believe me, the hair goes up on the back of my neck when somebody is lying to me. And Mr. Clemens, I'm looking at you, and when you say to me, she knew, you're a liar. The camera will find that in your face so that the 10 million people who watch this at least once a day will see that look that I'm talking about. They're becoming very clued into that look, Mr. Clemens.
I'm not lying,
Very
Your
clued.
Honor.
Oh, yes, you are. You telling me that you told her that you had drawn out a check to pay for your student loan in the amount of $336?
Well, after
well,
the
you
12
see that
beers
look,
she had
Mr.
had,
Clemens,
she probably doesn't remember.
Mr. Clemens, the camera's getting you, sir. The camera gets liars.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
If what you're saying and your answer is she was drunk all the time, so she doesn't know what I told her and what I didn't tell her, what I think is you're a hustler and you took advantage of her.
No, ma'am.
I think you're a hustler and you took advantage of her and drew out an awful lot of money that didn't belong to you, that you didn't work for, and that you figured, well, I got this lady. She doesn't know. She's an old lady. What does she know? You know, I'm younger and I'm smarter, and I've been hustling all my life, and this is just another hustle.
No, ma'am.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, Mr. Clemens. See it. I see it. Because nobody who runs a business lets their partner, unless they're also drawing things out, paying personal expenses from the business account. Then some people say, you know what, I'll pay a couple of bills from the business account, you pay a couple of bills from the business account, and it'll be a wash. But that didn't happen in this account, Mr. Clemens. The only one who paid their personal expenses out of it was you.
She wrote herself checks from the account.
You.
She didn't use the card. She wrote herself checks.
What about...
And had her clients pay her.
Just a second, Mr. Clemens. What about you? Did you not draw a salary from the business? Just answer my question. Did you not draw a salary from the business?
A commission-based salary, yes, ma'am.
I don't think you're cute, Mr. Clemens, in case you haven't figured that out yet. Did you draw a salary from the business?
Yes, ma'am.
That would be the answer. And in addition to drawing a salary from the business, as Miss O'Boyle did, you also paid for your tan.
No, ma'am.
Believe me, I'm looking at her. She didn't go for a tan. That would be you. Listen, Miss O'Boyle, he's a hustler. You're not supposed to go into business with hustlers. Do you understand?
Yes.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,100. That's all. Step out.
Thank you, Judge Judy.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Yes, case.
Mr. Allen, how long have you and the defendant been together?
Off and on for about 14 years.
You have a child, is that right, together?
That's correct.
How old?
He's 6.
You're no longer together with the defendant, is that right?
That is absolutely right.
Who has custody of the boy?
She does.
Really? How did that happen?
We just both agreed through family probate court that she'd have custody.
That's a sort of strange. What's wrong with you?
Nothing. That's just the way we decided to do it.
Well, I'm curious about that, considering what this case is about.
She has her problems, but she drinks a lot, is what it is. And I don't think that she's a good mother, is what it comes down to.
You can't be a good mother and drink a lot, Mr. Allen. Those two things don't go together.
That's where I come in.
What do you mean that's where you come in?
I stay at her house while she goes out and drinks. I know, it's not a smart thing, but...
In what jurisdiction do you live?
In Worcester County.
Which is where?
Massachusetts.
How many children do you have, Mr. Allen?
I have 2 myself.
There was a certain hesitation in that, Mr. Allen.
It's 2.
2 is an answer. How old are they?
One's 16, one's 6.
And where does your 16-year-old live?
He lives with his mother.
And how many children did you give birth to, Miss Goodell?
The one.
This is what this case is about. Then maybe we'll revisit this issue. It is your claim that Miss Goodell, while out on a bender, drinking at a bar, brought home a male stranger to the house. That male, who she brought home to the house, damaged your motorcycle by knocking it over. We are going to assume, for the purposes of this case, that that did in fact happen, that your motorcycle was damaged as a result of this stranger that Miss Goodell brought home to the house. Your theory is that since Miss Goodell could not tell you the name of this person, that her conduct created a situation that enabled this to happen, and therefore she should pay for the motorcycle damage.
Correct.
So I'm going to find out the story, then maybe we'll go back and revisit this whole thing. What do you do for a living, Mr. Allen?
I work in an IT department at a business, Mass Mutual.
And how long have you worked for them?
About 6 months.
Prior to that, where were you working?
I was a subcontractor for a cable company.
And how long did you work for them?
A few years.
How many years?
2.
And where does Miss Goodell work?
She works at a dental office.
How many days a week?
3, sometimes 4.
Excuse me?
3, sometimes 4 days.
She worked part-time or full-time?
Full-time hours, but part-time days.
She paid in check or cash? Look at me.
Cash. I get paid in cash. Is that what you mean?
I didn't ask you about you.
Oh, sorry.
I asked about her. Where do you live?
Right now I'm staying with my parents.
How long have you been staying with your parents?
Since this incident.
And when was this incident?
October 14th.
And when did you go to court and agree that Miss Goodell had custody of your son?
I'd say 2008.
Does Miss Goodell receive any sort of supplementary assistance from the state for her support or the support of your child? Look at me.
You'd have to ask her. I believe so.
That's something you would know, Mr. Allen. So the answer is either yes or no.
Yes.
Do you pay support for your son?
I help her out.
That's not what I asked you. Do you pay support
Yes,
for your
I do.
son?
Yes.
Through the court?
No.
To the state?
Nope.
You think this was going to be easy, Mr. Allen?
No.
Not easy.
No.
Not easy.
All right.
Now, when you moved out of the house after this incident on October 14th, when the mother of your child, who was out on a drinking binge and brought home a stranger to the house, according to you, with your son sleeping in the room right next to you,
Correct.
you thought it was a good idea to move out and leave him there with his mother?
No, I took him that night. I left with him.
Just a second. You left with him that night?
Yes.
How did he get back to his mother?
She picked him up the next day at my mother's.
And what did you do?
What was I supposed to do?
Go back to court and say she's unfit to take care of him. She brings home strangers who she doesn't know to your house while drunk in the middle of the night. That's what she says in her answer, right? That's what you said in your answer. I did read it right, didn't I?
Correct.
That's what I would do as a parent. I would go into court the next day and I would say, listen, this arrangement in 2008 is no good because my son is a child, he's at risk. You don't drink, do you, Mr. Allen?
Not very often, no.
Do you use drugs, Mr. Allen?
No.
Ever?
In the past.
How far in the past?
8 years.
Who else lives in your parents' house?
My...
Don't look over there.
No,
And
I'm
you
sorry.
shouldn't have to think about it.
My brother lives there, and my parents.
And do your parents work?
Yes, they do.
Both of them?
Yes.
How long had you been living in Miss Goodell's house?
6 months.
Prior to that, where did you live?
I lived with an ex-girlfriend in Connecticut.
Well, that was an off, because you've been on and off, according to you, with Miss Goodell for 14 years. So that wasn't very long.
No, we took like a 4-year break.
And are you telling me that for 4 years you lived with this ex-girlfriend? And if I were to call your mother now at work, she would tell me that you live home now for about 6 months, and before that you lived with your girlfriend in Connecticut for 4 years?
Yes, correct. I had my own apartment before that.
In Connecticut?
In Massachusetts.
Is that where you lived with the girlfriend?
The ex-girlfriend was in Connecticut. It's just over the line in Massachusetts.
So she lived with you?
No, I lived with her. At her house.
I thought you said you had your own apartment.
Before her, I did.
Well, that was, now we're talking 5 years ago.
Yeah. I didn't know how far you want to go back.
You said you took a 4, you see, Mr. Allen, you said you took a 4-year break from Miss Goodell. That was at the time when you were living with the girlfriend in Connecticut, right across the border. Before that, you said you had your own apartment. Well, you can't have it both. Either you had your own apartment or you were living with Miss Goodell. Which was it?
When I broke up with the girlfriend, I moved in with Miss Goodell.
Well, that was afterwards, sir. We're talking about before. You said before that I had my own apartment.
Correct.
That was 5 years ago.
About that.
Well, if 5 years ago you had your own apartment, then you weren't living with Miss Goodell.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't living with Miss Goodell 5 years ago.
When did you live with Miss Goodell?
Up to about 6 months ago.
You said you were on and off for 14 years. You have a 6-year-old child, Mr.
Yes.
Allen.
Correct.
I think the state ought to think about coming in and taking your son.
Yeah, well, that's your opinion.
Yeah, that's my opinion. If the answers that I get from her are anything similar to what I'm getting from you, I would take a long, hard look at whether this is an appropriate household to raise children in. You babysit for your son while his mother goes out and gets drunk, and then you go home to stay with your mother and father, and I would take a careful look at what's going on here. Now, you want to tell me what happened? What night did you go out and get loaded and bring home a stranger?
It was Wednesday night, October 13th. I play in a shuffleboard league on Wednesday nights, and I was out with friends. Going back to being on and off for 14 years, one of the main issues that we have together is that Doug is known for stalking and harassing and annoying phone calls, rude text messages, things like that.
He says you're a drunk. He says you go out.
Say that.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You people clearly have got the system down pat. You know what system you don't have down pat? Me.
Okay.
Me.
And later today.
How many trees did you cut down?
Well, I went straight across the fence. I'm not exactly sure.
Did you do that yourself or did you have somebody else do it?
I did it.
I'd like to see what you did.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Douglas Allen claims the mother of his son, Lynn Goodell, owes for damages to his motorcycle caused by a man she brought home from a bar.
He says you go out and drink, and what he does is watch your son, and he's not worried about it because he lets you go out and drink, and he babysits for the child. That's what he says. I'm just telling you.
Right, I hear what he's saying.
That's what you say. So you went out to the Shuffleboard League on October 13th.
Correct.
And you were hanging out with some friends, and?
And I did have a few drinks that night, and I was playing, and I was conversing with an acquaintance of mine, and Doug started with his annoying, harassing phone calls and text messaging. The person became concerned for me and was asking me what the issue was and why I was becoming angry and annoyed, and I showed him some of the text messages that I received from Doug only on this one occasion, and he seemed slightly concerned for me and why I put up with it, and I explained, well, you know, Doug's kind of a hard person to get rid of. I've had restraining orders, I've had no abuse orders, I've had no contact orders, I've moved, I've changed my phone number, and this has been going on for a long time. Over the last year, yes, Doug...
Just stick with October 13th.
Okay. Well, this person became concerned for my well-being.
Remember, I read your answer, Ms.
Yes.
Goodell. Your answer doesn't talk about anybody being concerned for your well-being. Your answer talks about you being drunk and weren't able to drive home.
I
Keep going.
won't drive after I've had even 2 beers, so I let this person drive my car.
Person's name?
I only know his first name.
So you had somebody drive you home because you had been drinking?
Yes.
Let's cut to the chase. What happened when you got home?
It all happened very quickly. The man escorted me to the house. He asked if Doug was there. I said, obviously, he's here, yes. And he kind of helped himself into the home.
What do you mean he helped himself into the home? How do you help yourself into the home?
He just kind of walked in with me and made his way up to the bedroom. And
he made his way up to the bedroom?
He just, yes. I mean, obviously, Your Honor, he was drinking as well.
He knew where that was.
It's not that hard to find a room in a house.
Keep going.
So he went into the home, he went up to the stairs, and he went into the bedroom, and I was a few moments behind him. When I reached the top of the stairs, I realized that they were engaged in conversation. Doug looked at me, and I apologized, and the man said, "Why are you effing sorry?" and stormed past me, back down the stairs, out the door, and I went after him because I knew he had my keys. So I was like, what's going on? It all happened very quickly. I didn't know that this was going to happen. So when I went after him, I realized that the bike had been tipped over and he was getting into my car. I got into my car with him, and I said, what was that all about? And he just said, don't worry about it. I did it for you. And I was confused. So I had him drive back to his own vehicle. He got in his vehicle and he left. I sat in my car, absorbing the whole situation, and couldn't really come to an answer, so I sat there for several hours. Didn't want to go back home at that point, knowing that they would be...
Actually, did you see this man tip over your motorcycle?
I did not see him tip over the bike.
Who is this?
That's my witness. It's my friend Tim.
Witness to what?
He was there when she and her one-night stand came to the house drunk. So he witnessed everything I did.
If he were to testify, what would he testify to?
He'd testify to seeing them drunk, and...
Just a second, does he live with you?
He was sleeping over that night. He slept over in the basement.
What was he sleeping over for?
Because I told him I was going to be there with my son that night, and I bought my son a Nintendo Wii, and he comes over and we play games with the kid.
And what time were you in bed?
I'd probably say 1 o'clock.
And who does this witness live with?
He lived with his girlfriend in Connecticut. He doesn't anymore.
When was the last time you worked full-time?
It's probably been about 3 or 4 years.
Do you get paid in check or cash?
By check. But it's only 10 hours a week right now.
I don't want to hear him.
Okay.
Don't you think that's a good idea?
You say so.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today...
You don't have any pictures of these trees before they were cut down?
No, ma'am. There was no need to take any pictures.
No. Just answer my question.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Douglas Allen claims the mother of his son, Lynn Goodell, owes for damages to his motorcycle caused by a man she brought home from a bar.
You have any other proof, Mr. Allen, that this gentleman that your girlfriend brought home knocked over your bike?
No.
No. And where was your bike parked?
Right at the end of the driveway, about 15 feet from the door.
Outside?
Correct.
When was the last time you watched your son while Miss Goodell went out drinking?
It would be this Tuesday.
This past Tuesday?
Correct.
And did you stay over at her house?
I did not, no.
So you must have gone home very early in the morning if she went out drinking. What time did she get home?
I do not know. I didn't stay there.
Well, who babysat for your son when you left?
I did. I took him to my mother's.
And she picked him up in the morning?
Correct.
And was that by prearrangement that she was going out?
Yes.
Who watches him at your mother's?
I do.
What about your mother?
She works. She was sleeping.
And what about you? When do you work?
I took a couple days off.
Goodbye, Mr. Allen. Listen, you people clearly have got the system down pat. You know what system you don't have down pat? Me.
Okay.
Me. She works. She gets paid in cash. Other than that, you get welfare for your child?
I do not.
You get any assistance for him?
I do.
What do you get for him?
Housing, food stamps.
Housing, food. That's assistance.
It is assistance, but it's not welfare.
What is it?
Welfare is cash from the state.
Who pays your rent?
I pay my rent. Well, the state pays half the rent.
Got it. Goodbye, Mr. Allen.
Enjoy your day.
Excuse, you may step out.
No, I don't think she meant to cause problems. She was drunk in a blackout.
I was not in a blackout that night.
She was drinking and she must have blacked out. She brought the guy home.
And I don't drink to black out.
When they left, he pushed her over on the way out.
He's angry because, well,
A bike, a motorcycle.
he's caused a lot of turmoil in my life.
Can I leave now?
And, you know, this was just karma.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Glover versus Brookins. Step forward.
Tanya Glover is suing her neighbor, Lasha Brookins, for cutting down 5 trees in her yard. Lasha claims the trees were attracting bees.
Miss Glover, the defendant is your neighbor who cut down trees that were on your property.
That's correct.
And you want her to either replace the trees that she cut down or build a privacy fence. And Ms. Brookings said that she cut down the trees because there were bees in the trees that were stinging her and making it unsafe for her to use her backyard. Okay. How long have you been neighbors, Ms. Brookings?
10 years or better, I do believe.
Could you keep your voice up?
10 years or better.
And how many trees did you cut down?
Well, I went straight across the fence. I'm not exactly sure, but I do have a picture of what I did.
It's 5 trees.
And did you cut them down at the bottom, or did you cut them down from on your property?
From on my property.
So you stood on a ladder?
Yes.
Did you do that yourself, or did you have somebody else do it?
I did it.
I'd like to see what you did.
I have pictures also, Your Honor.
I'd like to see pictures of what
it looks
cut
like
down.
from my side.
I'd actually like to see what she cut down. Are these shrubs or trees?
These are trees. Those are evergreens, Christmas trees.
You don't have any pictures of these trees before they were cut down?
No, ma'am. There was no need to take any pictures.
No. Just answer my question. Because these trees look as if they were covered with vines. There were vines in the trees.
In the trees, between
I'm talking about vines in the trees. I see them here, the kind of vines that kill trees. So what I want to know is, were these trees green or were they green and brown?
The trees were green.
Correct?
Not correct. They were green and brown.
Yeah, they look as if they were green and brown. Okay, very good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
How many of these trees were cut down?
5.
You can't cut down her trees. You can't, listen to me. I don't know how many times I have to say this. You cannot cut down her trees. You can cut down branches that are leaning over on your property, but you can't cut down her trees. And if you do, you have to replace them.
Okay, but I don't see why I have to replace them when they were over and they were housing bees.
No, just a minute. You're allowed to cut down branches that are hanging over onto your property, but you can't go on her property, even the air of her property, in order to get to trees that aren't infringing on your property. You can't do that.
Well, yeah.
You can't do that without an order. Anyway, you can't do it. Trees are $50 a piece. It costs you another $50 to put them in. That's $100 times 4 or 5.
I have an estimate.
I don't need your estimate.
A proposal from...
I don't need an estimate. Times 5. There were 5 trees?
Yes, ma'am. There's 9-foot trees.
Most of them look as if they were dead anyway.
Well, no, they weren't, ma'am. They're 9-foot trees.
Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all. Thank you very much.
All right, Zach, excuse, you may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
That's case number 328 on the calendar in the matter of Brown versus Brown.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Judge parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Mr. Brown, this is your daughter, and I'm sure you have some reason that you perceive as a good one for suing her. I'm not talking about the legitimacy of your claim. I'm talking about the fact that you are suing her at all. But this is what I perceive to be the situation. Tell me if I'm mistaken. Pursuant to your divorce decree, you are supposed to pay for your daughter's education if she is a full-time student.
Correct.
Is there a finite age when that stops?
As long as she is continuing to attend school, she is eligible to receive child support up until the age of 21.
21.
Yes.
And according to you, you were under the impression that your daughter was a student continuously after
Correct.
she graduated from high school. How old are you now?
I'm 20 years old.
In fact, your daughter was not attending school on a full-time basis after she graduated from high school, but took off, according to her, a couple of semesters because she had a child and she had to regroup. And you didn't know that she wasn't attending school. You continued to pay the child support, and you want her to return to you the money that you paid while she was not in school.
That's correct, Your Honor.
And you concede you were not in school.
I was not in school for 2 terms.
2 terms is how many months?
It was a total of 5 months.
And what was your child support each month?
$343.20 a month.
Did you tell your father you were not in school?
No, in fact, we haven't even spoken for about 5 years.
So you didn't tell him that you were not in school?
No.
So you tell me, Miss Brown, why you think you don't owe him this money?
My father hasn't been in my life for about 5 years.
This is not Dr. Phil. This is a court.
The only reason why I did not tell him is because the first term I took off was because I was due to have my child at the end of that term. I would miss finals, which means I would have to retake the classes. And in order for me not to have to pay for those classes twice, I decided to take the term off. And the second term I took off was because I was recouping from my cesarean section.
I understand your reasons.
Yes.
But, you know, we're dealing with a contract, so you have to pay him back for those 5 months. My question to you, Mr. Brown, is why would you sue her over this money?
When she originally graduated from high school in May of '09, she was eligible to be off, per the state requirements, up to 4 months for a summer break. The school that she eventually did start, the next term actually started in July. She did not start that term. I did not find out that she was not attending school until October of that year.
Just a second.
Okay.
Mr. Brown, your daughter says she took off 2 terms. She said it was 5 months. That's not my question. My question is, under the terms of your divorce decree, she owes you the money. I assume that you've been paying child support for a long time, right?
Correct, 10 years.
As well you should. She's your child.
Yes.
I don't understand why you're suing her.
We do not have any contact.
Did you think that this would help?
No, I didn't think this would help, but I thought that this might enable her to realize the responsibility of her actions.
Why suing her, do you believe, would suggest to a 20-year-old who has already made the mistake of having a baby when she's not financially or emotionally prepared to be a parent? I assume you live with your mother?
I do.
Now you're back in school, so I assume your mother takes care of your baby.
She does when I'm at school, yes.
Of course. So because of your irresponsibility, your mother is now taking on the responsibility again of being a parent. So your suing her is not going to make her more responsible.
No, it's not, Your Honor.
So then you just have to explain to me, Mr. Brown, something that I can understand as to why over, at most, $1,700 or $1,800, you're suing a child. How many children do you have?
I have 2 children.
How old are they?
One is 23 and one is 20.
And the 23-year-old is your brother?
Yes, my half-brother. We don't speak.
You don't speak?
I do not speak to any of his family.
The 23-year-old boy you see?
Occasionally.
What's occasionally, Mr. Brown?
He was in Germany in the military, and he's recently got back, but he has had problems with his marriage and his life.
Well, prior to his going to Germany, did you live with him?
Yes, I raised him.
And then he went to Germany, and then he came home, and now you have little contact.
That is correct.
So, Mr. Brown, you have 2 children with whom you have no contact. Did you ever say, maybe I better look inside myself?
Yes, Your Honor.
I mean, again, I'm not a therapist, but I have children. I actually speak to most of them on at least a weekly basis. Some of them I speak to twice a day, and they're twice her age. If I wasn't in contact with all my children, I don't think that I could justify it and say there's something wrong with my children as a parent. So we come back to the fact that you think your daughter may owe you money, but it sounds to me as if she's trying, despite some missteps, to put herself back on track. Why would you interfere with that?
Your Honor, when I found out that she wasn't going to school, I decided that I would go ahead and file the objection to stop the child support, which happened. I told my wife and myself that if she went back to school and left well enough alone and did not reinstate the child support, that I would call it a wash, that it would be even. But under the direction of whoever's influencing her life, she decided to go ahead and stick it to me again for more child support.
Mr. Brown, what kind of stick it to you again? She's 20 years old. She went back to school. That's why your children don't talk to you, sir. You have a new wife?
Yes.
That's why your children don't talk to you, because you refer to it as sticking it to you again. You're supposed to pay child support if you have children, sir.
I understand that, and I've been paying regularly and on time, no deadbeat dad, for 10 years.
Big deal! So what? You think that you deserve a medal for that, Mr. Brown?
No.
You don't deserve a medal for that. And if I had a child who made a misstep and became pregnant, took time off to have a baby, had a cesarean, says, all right, maybe I can turn my life around. I'm still only 20 years old and I'm going to go back to school and finish. As a parent, I would say, what can I do to help you?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She's the child. You're the parent. You're supposed to make it work, not the child. It gets very lonely as you get older, sir.
And later today,
Something's wrong with him. I don't know what it is. I don't know whether he takes prescription medication, non-prescription medication. I'm just telling you that there's something wrong with him.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. William Brown says his daughter, Tabitha Brown, owes for the return of child support she fraudulently collected.
Okay.
Your Honor.
You have to pay him because the law says you have to pay him.
This man demanded a DNA test after 20 years.
Listen to me. There's a reason why his children don't talk to him. But this is a court. A court gave your father the parameters of his child support obligation. Is he now paying you again?
Yes, he is, but he's in
Correct.
arrears.
Well, then the arrears will eventually be paid.
Your
You think
Honor.
that this is going to make it better?
Well, I was just going to tell you that they have credited him some of the money that he is allegedly.
Oh, well, that's important. How much have they credited him, Miss Brown?
They credited him in June and May a total of $234.89.
And then the other...
Stand up.
In July, they credited him $234.89 out of that month for July. But they also credited him another $171 in June.
Did you receive those credits, sir?
No, ma'am. They reapplied them when she reinstated the child support.
What do you mean they reapplied them?
They kept the money when she reinstated child support. They applied that to the current new child support. I have the 10-year summary right here with this year's rate.
I'd like to see it, please.
I have a page showing that in July, when they reinstated his child support, that his balance was actually $234 in a credit.
I got
so
it.
he didn't have to
I
pay
got
that
it.
money.
Miss Brown, I think that your father makes a terrible mistake to bring this lawsuit. I think that in the long term, he has 2 children and he has no communication with them for whatever reason. It's his fault. If you don't speak to a child, it's your fault, not the child's fault. And he has another child that evidently after he raised doesn't speak to him, which doesn't speak well of his parenting. But my hands are tied from a legal perspective, because from a legal perspective, if you were not in school on a full-time basis, you were not entitled to collect money from him. I don't think that you owe him what he would like, which is $2,700. I think that you owe him $1,400, and I'm giving you credit for what you say was deducted by child support. Mr. Brown, it gets very lonely as you get older, sir. How many wives have you had?
2 wives.
He's on his 3rd marriage.
You've had 2 ex-wives.
No. I remarried my first wife.
When?
5 years ago, which is what stopped communication with my daughter. Not my choice.
Just a second. She's the child. You're the parent. You're supposed to make it work, not the child, Mr. Brown. And your daughter's got to give you $1,400. I think it's a big mistake if you take it. What I would say to her is, take that money. You have a boy or a girl?
I have a girl.
Take that money, put it in a bank account for my granddaughter. Let it grow until it's time for her to go away to college, and then tell her it's from her grandfather. She's responsible to give you the money. You're going to be a very lonely old man, Mr. Brown. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's a deadbeat. He has nothing to do with me because of his wife.
It wasn't my choice to cut off communication with my daughter. It was her mother's.
I decided that if he was going to be with that woman, that he should not have contact with me because she treats me badly.
My daughter has been brainwashed by her mother since we got our divorce 10 years ago.
I haven't seen this man in 5 years.
I don't think I'll be a lonely old man.
I've tried to reconnect with him many times, and he has nothing to do with me.
There's nothing I can do about it.
Ex-boyfriend Gregory Thomas for a $1,000 loan and for the cost to store his Jaguar.
Mr. Thomas, what year Jaguar is parked in Miss Wright's garage?
Well, Your Honor, I had it towed there.
I asked you for a year. What year Jaguar is parked in her garage?
2001.
In whose name is the car? Look at me. In whose name is the car?
Donna's.
And who is that?
A friend of mine.
And what are you doing with Miss car?
I was buying it from them, Your Honor.
What do you mean you were buying it from him?
I'm buying it from them, and it tore up on me.
What does that mean? You were buying it from them and it tore up on you. I don't understand that. English, please.
It tore up on me, Your Honor.
Shh. English. You buy a car. You don't buy a car. I don't understand what you mean. You were buying a car.
I bought it, and it tore up on me.
All right, maybe I'm not. What does tore up mean? He doesn't know what it means. I thought it was a car term. I have no idea what tore up means.
Okay, it's not operating. The engine is not operating.
You mean it broke down?
Yes. It broke down.
Well, if you bought it from him, why don't you have it titled in your name? Did you pay him for it?
I haven't finished paying it for it, Your Honor.
Does Mr. know where the car is? It's not an answer, Thomas.
No.
Is he looking for you?
No, sir. No, ma'am.
Why not?
I've been talking with them about that. I was going to get it fixed and get it taken care of.
How long has it been in Miss Wright's garage?
A year and a half.
Something's wrong with him. I don't know what it is. I don't know whether he takes prescription medication, non-prescription medication. I'm not sure. I'm just telling you that there's something wrong with him.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What was your relationship with Mr. Thomas at the time?
He actually was my lover.
So it was sort of easy for you to believe him?
Well, he's very convincing. He's very...
Not me.
Light Wright says ex-boyfriend Gregory Thomas owes for a loan and storage fees.
Now, let's take care of the car first.
Yes, ma'am.
When you get back home, call a towing company. Have them tow the car to a junkyard. Say this car is trespassing in my house. Okay. He's going to pay as part of a judgment against him for you to have it towed. If they won't tow it for you to a junkyard, have somebody put it out on the street. Police will come and take it if it's in the middle of the street. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Unload it. Get him out of your life.
Okay.
Don't give him a chance to come and get it because he's a little bit off. Okay. Got that so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so that takes care of the car business. And it will probably cost you $100 to have somebody come, hitch it up, tow it out of your garage, and put it on the street for them to take away. So that's what she's going to do. She's going to tow that, and she's going to do that tomorrow. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Perfect. Next. Did Miss Wright give you $1,000?
Yes, ma'am.
When?
Oh, about the middle of March.
Of 2000 and?
2000 and now it would be 8.
When, Miss Wright, did you give him $1,000?
I gave it to him March 26, 2009.
In 9, yep.
It was a loan.
See, sometimes when you take medication, Mr. Thomas, your mind just races.
Okay, just...
And what did you give him the money for?
Mr. Thomas had asked me numerous times to loan him $1,000 because he had this great opportunity to have a government bid. He had $14,000. He only needed an additional $1,000 more to equal $15,000.
Sounds like one of those internet scams.
No, this was for a government bid.
No, I understand, but it sounds like an internet scam. Did you ever see a bank book where he had $14,000?
No.
Did you ever see a savings account? Did you ever see evidence that he had $14,000?
No. Well, supposedly it was this great opportunity for him, chance of a lifetime. He's a civil engineer.
And he had most of the money. All he needed was $1,000.
Yes.
And what was your relationship with Mr. Thomas at the time?
He actually was my lover.
So it was sort of easy for you to believe him?
Well, he's very convincing. He's very...
Not to me.
Well, he was very convincing, very romantic and very convincing.
Yeah, well...
He's very, very intellectually inclined.
The idea is if it looks too good and it feels too good, it usually smells bad someplace. You just have to get close enough to it.
Well, I think I had pretty bad judgment because I had been divorced for years. I was not dating for years.
Just a second. He was an exercise in bad judgment.
Yes, he was.
That's it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Are you the victim of a scam? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Okay, so right now you're suing him for $1,800. You're suing him for storage fees for this ridiculous Jaguar that he's probably hiding from the rightful owner. You're going to have that towed, and then he'll have to go deal with it. You want your $1,000 back. He's a scam artist. You're going to get your $1,000 back plus $100 to get the car towed out of your garage.
Okay.
Did you have dinner with him last night?
No, I haven't seen him.
Perfect. Don't go near him.
Okay.
I mean, lunch, a drink, or anything. Just stay away from him.
I felt as though he took advantage of me because he knew I was...
Well, he took advantage of you.
Because I'm older than him.
Yeah, whatever. Listen, you're going home today?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Okay, so you'll have to wait until tomorrow or the next day to get the car towed. And then he'll have to go chasing around to try to find it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,100. That's all. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
You.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Yeah, it's case number 378 on the calendar in the matter of Hayes versus Ginter. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, ladies. Sir, have a seat.
Mr. Hayes, it is your claim that the defendant has some property that belongs to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Ginter says she does not have any property that belongs to you. Property was purchased out of joint accounts when you were, in fact, living together. She has a counterclaim for harassment. I have a few questions for you. When did you and Ms. Ginter live together?
From 2005 until 2009.
And you split up in 2009. What month in 2009?
That would be November.
And when you split up in 2009, you left.
She left. She left to move back to her mother's.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
And what did you take with you?
I only took the things that he allowed me to take.
That was in November of 2009.
Correct.
What did you take?
I took my personal belongings, my clothing and things. I took my children's bedroom sets, and I took some miscellaneous household type kitchen utensils, things like that.
And you went home to your mother in November?
Correct.
Are you still there now?
No, I'm not.
When did you leave your mother's house?
In June of this year.
Did you sue Mr. Hayes in December of 2009?
No, I did not.
January 2010?
No, I did not.
February 2010?
No, I did not.
March, April, May, June, July?
No.
No. So when you say he allowed you to take only certain items, you never questioned the ownership of those items legally?
No, I
until later? Okay. We're setting the stage for certain things, Mr. Hayes. Do you understand?
Oh, yes.
Now, you got a job offer.
Yes.
And because you maintained reasonable relations with the defendant, according to you, you moved some of your furniture and property belongings into her home. In what month?
That would be June.
June 2010.
Yes.
The same month she left her mother's house.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct.
And you paid her $200 to store your property.
Yes.
That she acknowledges that you gave her $200 to store your property. Then you were going for a job someplace. That didn't work out.
Correct.
You came back, and she refuses to give you back your furniture, the same furniture that you had had from November of 2009 until June 2010.
Yes, plus a bedroom set that I had bought separately. she has that.
When did you purchase that?
I purchased that in April of this
So
year.
you moved that bedroom furniture.
Yes, I paid $600
Great.
for that.
I don't care. If I find that's your furniture, you're going to get it back.
Right.
Now, when he came back, did he make a demand for his furniture?
Yes, he did.
And when he came with the police, you told them that it was not his furniture, it had been purchased from a joint account.
That's correct.
And that's the same furniture that you had not sued him for or made any claim to legally. November, December, January, February, March, April, May.
But when he put it in my house, he gave it to me because he said he would not be needing it because he would be living in a man camp with this new job and that I could have it.
Well, Miss Ginther, you see, you're in a little bit of trouble with me right now because that's not what you say in your answer.
Okay.
And you give me a total different excuse in your answer as to why he shouldn't have his furniture back. Nowhere in your answer do you say he made me a gift.
No, I don't.
No, just a second. So either you have to be telling the truth now, or you have to be telling the truth when you swore to your answer. You also have to be lying either now or lying when you swore to the answer.
I made several attempts to give him back this stuff.
Just a second. Shut up. Shh, just a second. You mean including the furniture?
Yes, I did.
Just a second. Well, now we have yet a third answer. So the third answer is now you made attempts to give him back the property.
Because I wanted him to quit posting things. My life was in danger.
Miss Ginter, listen to me very carefully. I haven't gotten to your counterclaim yet. But when you're not truthful with me with regard to his claim, and you give me so far 3 cockamamie answers with regard to the claim, then I'm going to question what you tell me in your counterclaim, which, quite frankly, I viewed as very serious. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes, I do.
All right. Now, you keep saying, yes, I do, but you say, yes, I do, with the same vacant look in your eye. Either he made you a gift of the furniture, or you claimed, as you claimed to the police, that it was purchased from a joint account and therefore it's not his, or you tried to give it back to him and he wouldn't take it. Which one is it?
It is all 3. We bought it on a joint account. It was our furniture. He
gets back all the furniture.
Fine.
Is that... Listen to me.
That's what I wanted.
Listen to me. You're getting back all the furniture. Do you understand?
Yes, but she doesn't have
Listen to me.
the list.
Listen to me, sir. You're getting back all your furniture. I am now going to entertain her counterclaim for harassment, which, quite frankly, if any of it is true, it's very serious. And if I enter a monetary claim on her behalf for her counterclaim, I'm going to hold that money until she returns all your furniture. Do you understand?
Yes.
Do you understand?
I understand.
Stand perfectly. Now you can tell me about the harassment. Tell me about it. Show me the postings that he posted about you. Then I will ask him about it. I will ask him about his guilty plea to what, sir?
Disturbing the peace.
It was reduced.
Shh. Don't tell me it was reduced.
Okay.
I'd like to see in the postings how he harassed you on the internet.
Okay.
And then I'll take testimony about it.
Here are the top ones. The first one talks about how he puts my address, my phone number, my name, a description of me.
Just a second. I can read.
In Craigslist.
I can read.
And then the top one says, is somebody who responds.
Did you post this, sir? 45 to the forehead, make it look like a home invasion, one less thieving, R.I.P. Did you post that?
No, I don't.
Did you post that?
No. I didn't post anything like that. The things I posted on Craigslist were my property. I put it on Craigslist because she took it and I didn't want her to have it.
Just a second. I'm reading the email, sir. I'm trying to find out whether you did it when you were sober or drunk. Do you understand?
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You know, if you're going to die, I hope you die a horrible car crash.
Don't you know any other words?
I was pretty angry. I was drunk that night, too.
I have a feeling you're drunk a lot.
And later today.
So it's the babysitter's fault. It's ridiculous!
Would you like to see the pictures of it?
I don't care to see the pictures. It's a ridiculous counterclaim. I never heard anything so ridiculous.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Mark Hayes says Ex-girlfriend Deanna Ginter refuses to return his belongings. Deanna claims Mark abandoned the property at her home. She is countersuing, claiming Mark has been harassing her over the internet.
I want you to show this to the plaintiff, please.
Second one, yes. First one, no. That second one was posted when I was in my hotel room after I called the police and went to get my stuff with the U-Haul, and she wouldn't give me anything back. I was on the phone with the police.
I don't care. And I think that you posted both of them. Even if you posted only one of them, it's awful.
But her taking all my property isn't awful when I show up there and I have to call the police?
Listen to me very carefully, sir. She didn't take your property. You put your property in her house and you paid for storage. That's what courts are for. That's what I just said to the defendant a moment ago. I said, you made no claim to that property November, December, January, February, March, April, May, until he put the property in your house and then came back for it, and then you didn't give it back to him. I said, the reason I'm not even entertaining the claim that it's yours is because he left, he took the property, and you didn't sue him. That's what you do to someone who you believe has property that belongs to you and is retaining it. You sue them. You don't importune other people to call her, harass her, threaten her, or anything else on the internet. That's not what the internet is for. That's what courts are for. We understand each other?
Yes.
Perfect.
I also have some voicemail messages I'd like you to listen to.
I'd like to hear them. And by the way, just a second, hold on. I don't care about your list. This is what she's returning to you. Listen up very carefully. She's returning to you exactly what you say in this. She's returning to you TV, tools, and a bedroom set. That's what she's returning to you, because that's what you say she retained that belonged to you in this email, or whatever it is, posting.
Well, the police said that she doesn't have any of my tools. None of my stuff's there.
Listen to me very carefully, sir. That's what she's returning. I don't care if she returns a screwdriver to you. Do you understand? That's what you said in the email she retained, so I don't care about the laundry list of items that you were prepared to show me. Now I'll listen to it.
Hey, guess what? I'm back. So you just remember that. I'm back. So hopefully your Chevy back meet somebody that'll feel sorry for you and stuff and find all your bills. And too bad you didn't die, that when you took all them Indian. You just should have died right there. Kids should have let you take them. World would be a better place. You're a moron. And you're a thief. You steal. That's what you do. You steal to get what you want. So you know what? You're just, and your mom's the same way. Both of you are just idiots. You don't care about anybody else but yourselves. So you know what? You. I hope you die.
Okay, and then just one moment, there's one more.
You know what? I hope you die, you piece of... You're the worst person I ever met. You are the worst mother person ever in the world. You know that? And you're going to die. I hope you die in a horrible car crash.
Don't you know any other words? Don't you know any other words?
I was pretty angry. I was drunk that night, too.
I have a feeling you're drunk a lot. And it really doesn't make any difference because, that's nasty.
Well,
just listen to me. That's nasty. This is something other than nasty. This is dangerous.
He
this is dangerous.
Put on there that I would be a sex slave. I received text messages, phone calls.
No, because this is dangerous.
Yes.
Posting it is dangerous. That's why I'm awarding you $4,000 on your counterclaim. That's what you're suing for. That's what I'm awarding you. You're going to get it as soon as he gets back his TV in good shape, his bedroom set in good shape, and his tools.
Okay.
Do you understand?
I understand.
Perfect. You have your TV, you have your bedroom set, you have your tools, and you have a big mouth. The big mouth is going to cost you $4,000. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He thought we were going to get back together.
Yeah, it just disintegrated.
And he thought he could move in and everything would be happy.
She stole everything I had.
And he found out it wasn't going to be that way.
Every single thing I had, she stole.
Very, very hurtful. More frightened than hurtful, though.
She got my truck repossessed, and
because I was scared for my life.
I kind of had a lot of animosity.
Hopefully he doesn't do it to anybody else.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter, Sandberg versus King. Step forward.
18-year-old nanny Felicia Sandberg is suing former client Cassie King for unpaid babysitting fees. Cassie claims Felicia's services were substandard.
Miss Sandberg, it is your claim that Miss King owes you babysitting services that you performed and she didn't pay you for. Miss King's defense is not that you didn't work the hours, because I've read your answer very carefully. Your defense is that you didn't think her services were adequate, and therefore you did not pay her.
Correct.
And you have a counterclaim because you say that while your two little children were in her care, they wrote with some marker on your couch and you had to have your sofa cleaned. You think she's responsible for paying for that?
I do.
All right, so let's get some things straight in my mind.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I don't give a rat's behind what you were looking for. You ate the hamburger. And if you eat the hamburger, you've got to pay for it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Nanny Felicia Sandberg says former client Cassie King owes for unpaid babysitting fees. Cassie is countersuing for the cost to clean her love seat and sofa.
What kind of work do you do, Miss King?
I work in the fast food industry. Right now, I'm home with my children.
Who else works in your household?
My husband.
What kind of work does he do?
He works in the lumber industry.
Is this your husband?
This is my husband.
Could you stand up? I have some questions for you. How long have you been working for the same company, Mr. King?
4 years.
How much do you make an hour?
$10 an hour.
And how much do you make at your job, Mrs. King?
I make $8.75 an hour. I work part-time.
Okay. Now, initially, Miss Sandberg was hired to watch both your children, and you were paying her $6 an hour.
If I may.
And then...
when I hired her, it was $6 an hour, $3 per kid per hour.
Just a second. You were paying her $6 an hour to watch both of your children.
Correct.
Not $3 a kid.
Well, I said child.
Okay.
Sorry.
And then when one of the children was to school or whatever, you initially offered her $3 an hour because that's what you felt you should be paid for watching one child plus tidying up the house.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
In a daycare center, that is what it is. It's $3.75 an hour per child.
Okay, what it is in a daycare center, you bring your children there and they're there with other children.
And I don't have to come home to a mess either.
Listen to me, Miss King. I'm going to give it to you. A one-shot deal.
Okay.
There is no issue of whether or not Miss Sandberg worked the hours for this $202 that she is requesting in pay before you let her go.
Correct.
The issue is whether you were satisfied with her service while she was performing those services, because you claim she slept on the couch, you claim that she came home one day and found the house untidy on more than one occasion. You claim that on one occasion you came home and found a chair in the middle of the kitchen, which suggested to you that your little 3-year-old was trying to get his own food.
Correct.
All of those things. So now I'm going to go back to what you do part-time. You work in the fast food industry.
Correct.
What do you do in the fast food industry?
I work as a waitress, if you will.
Okay. Let's say somebody comes in and orders a hamburger and fries, and you serve them.
Mm-hmm.
And they take their burger and fries, and they go to the table, and they eat it. And then you present them with a bill. And they say, we're not paying the bill. I didn't like the burger and fries. And you say to them, well, if you didn't like the burger, if there was something wrong with it, why didn't you bring it back before you finished it?
Correct.
So that I could make you another one.
That is
Or
our
if you
policy.
didn't like the fries, why did you eat them?
I did.
Why did you eat them? You understand where I'm going, Miss King?
I do, and I
If
did.
you found her services to be substandard, then you pay her for her service rendered the first time you're unhappy with her care of your 3-year-old, and you find somebody else.
I was looking for somebody else.
I don't give a rat's behind what you were looking for. You ate the hamburger. And if you eat the hamburger, you've got to pay for it.
Okay.
Now, you have a ridiculous counterclaim.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Now, your counterclaim is that while under her care, one or both of your children used a magic marker or an indelible pen or something on a piece of your furniture, and it was under her watch, so she should pay for it.
Yes. Would you like to see the pictures of it?
I don't care to see the pictures. It's a ridiculous counterclaim. I never heard anything so ridiculous. It's almost like saying, well, while under her watch, she served my son a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and afterwards he took the plate and he dropped it on the floor. And if she had been watching him more carefully, he would not have dropped the plate on the floor, and therefore she owes me a new set of dishes because it was 1 out of 8 dishes. Now I only have 7, and I can't replace the dish, so it's the babysitter's fault. It's ridiculous! Counterclaim's dismissed. $202. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Your Honor.
That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Yeah, this is case number 354 on the calendar, the matter of Powell versus Scott.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat.
Miss Powell, it is your claim that the defendant vandalized your car by using some sort of a sharp instrument and writing on it. Miss Scott says she didn't do it. So first you have to explain to me, because quite frankly, I didn't understand your relationship to each other.
I don't have any relationship to Sierra Scott. Sierra Scott did $12,637 worth of damage to my vehicle under the assumptions that I was having a relationship with her boyfriend at the time, Sorrel Shed.
Okay, let's go slow.
Okay.
Sorrel Shed is your boyfriend?
Yeah, him.
That's you?
Yes, ma'am.
So you believe that she thought that you were having a relationship with him?
Yes.
What made you think that?
Because we have her recorded on conversations saying, well, if Shuggy wanted to be with her, all he had to do was tell me and leave me out of it, and you guys don't have to lie about them having a relationship.
Could you stand still?
Yes.
Thank you. Go ahead.
And saying things like, I know Shuggy was with her.
So you have her voice on a recording?
Yes.
Talking about the fact that she thought you were having a relationship with him?
Yes.
Talking about motive. Did you make those calls?
No, she actually called me, accusing me of...
So she called you.
Mm-hmm.
Did you, in that conversation, accuse her of having any sort of relationship with your boyfriend?
In a way, yeah.
What do you mean, in a way?
I was basically just cussing her out and talking stuff to her because she called me.
Why were you cursing her?
Because she called me, accusing me of something that I didn't do.
What did she say to you when she called you?
Basically, she just was like, why did you do that to my car?
And what did you say to her?
I told her that I didn't do it.
And she said to you?
She's like, I know you did.
And what did you say to her?
I basically just told her I would have beat her up rather than messed up her car.
Okay, that's nice. And how did the boyfriend get into your conversation?
Well, if you do the whole story about what happened the night that her car got messed up, I guess, basically.
Why don't you tell me about that, Miss Scott?
Okay, so, well, he called me or whatever because we were supposed to go do some stuff because it was my birthday, and he told me that Dyrell, her witness, had a flat tire.
That you had a flat tire?
Yes, yeah, they're like really good friends or whatever.
Okay.
So right before we got off the phone, like I heard this girl in the background, so I'm like, who are you with? And he told me that it was Dyrell's cousin, Bianca, and he was like, if you don't believe me, I'll let you talk to her or whatever. So she got on the phone, and she's like, Shuggy's not doing anything he's not supposed to be doing or whatever.
Oh, so Miss Scott, you thought he was with another girl, so he said, let me put her on the phone. And she got on the phone and said to you, your boyfriend's not doing anything that he's not supposed to be doing.
Right.
That's what you said. And what happened next?
Well, after that, later on that night, I went to a club where they were all at.
So they were at a club and you went looking for him?
I didn't know she was there.
Did you know he was there?
I knew he was there.
Had your boyfriend invited you to come to the club that night? No, don't look over there. Look over here. Had your boyfriend invited you to come to the club that night?
No, he didn't invite me.
How did you know he was there?
We were text messaging each other the whole time.
So when he was at the club, he was telling you he was at the club. Stand up. Move over. When you got the first text message from her at the club, were you surprised?
No, ma'am, I wasn't.
Did she tell you she was coming to the club?
No, she didn't.
You told her the club that you were at?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
What time did she show up at the club?
Probably about...
Look at me.
Probably about 1:30, ma'am.
And was the plaintiff at the club with you?
Yes, ma'am, she was.
When your girlfriend got to the club, what were you doing?
I think I was by the DJ booth at that time.
And where was Miss Powell at the time?
I think downstairs.
What did your girlfriend say to you when she arrived at the club that night?
She just kind of glared at me.
Glared?
Yeah, kind of glared.
Glared. And you've been together for how long?
About 9 months.
So you know what a glare looks like?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Seemed like a very, very nice young man. Anything else you want to tell me about that evening?
No, ma'am.
Great. Why don't you have a seat? All right, so you showed up at the club. Your boyfriend says you showed up unannounced. He didn't know you were coming. You walked in and you glared at him. So I have a few questions. When you got to the club, had you ever seen Miss Powell before?
Never.
Did you see her at the club that night?
I did.
Tell me about how you saw her at the club that night.
Well, Sorrel, he was having a conversation with one of his friends by the DJ booth. Another one of his friends was downstairs in the bar area with her.
How do you know that?
Because he's a good friend of mine, too. I saw him. I didn't know that this was the person that I talked to on the phone.
I'm getting that.
Right.
I'm getting that. We're going to get to it.
Okay.
So you went looking for your boyfriend. You found your boyfriend. He was at the DJ booth. He was not with the plaintiff. He was not even on the same floor as the plaintiff.
Right.
But you found the plaintiff.
I didn't find her. I found his friend at the bar area with her.
Was that after or before you were glaring at your boyfriend?
He calls it a glare.
Was it after or before?
After.
After. So when you came to the club, you saw his friend first. Ah. See how easy this whole thing is becoming, Miss Scott? When did you realize it was the plaintiff as the same person that you talked to on the phone?
Okay.
You're not going to be able to make this up.
Yeah,
it's
I'm
going
not
to get
trying
better.
to. I'm just, it's a long story.
When did you realize that the person who was talking to your boyfriend's friend at the bar was the same person that you talked to on the phone?
When she dropped him off to me later that night.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He said they had gotten into like a little slight argument or whatever.
Did you say that to your friend?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Did you get into a little slight argument?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Stand. Move. Now we're going to play a little bit.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Bianca Powell says Sierra Scott vandalized her car after a night at the club. Sierra denies the charge.
Miss Scott, you went upstairs at the bar, gave the boyfriend a look. Did you leave by yourself? Uh-huh is not an answer. Yes would be an answer.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And where did you go when you left by yourself?
I went to the Waffle House and ate breakfast.
With whom?
By myself.
What time did you go to the Waffle House?
Probably about 3-ish, because I actually stopped at another club, like the Let Out, and then I went to the Waffle House.
So first you went to a club, and then you went, unfortunately, you couldn't find a friend to go with you, so you went alone to the Waffle House.
Well, not that I couldn't find anyone to go with, but I just decided to go by myself.
And from the Waffle House, where did you go?
He called me while I was eating, and he told me to meet him in 5 minutes at the Taco Bell up the street from where I was at.
Well, he first must have found out that you were eating at the Waffle House, so he must have called and said, "Where are you?"
Yeah, he was texting me the whole time.
Now we're getting there. Now, when you got to the Taco Bell, who dropped him off?
Oh.
This lady.
And Bianca, yeah. There was several
and it was
people
by
in the car.
that time you would recognize that she was the same person that you saw at the club.
I mean, I still wasn't for sure, but when he got in the car and started talking, then that's kind of how I figured it out.
Well, what did he say when he got in the car and started to talk?
Well, first of all, he told me to meet him at the Taco Bell, but he had them pull up at the Conoco. That was like right next door or whatever. So when I saw them pull up, I drove around, like I pulled up on them or whatever. And
You're getting all this. Yeah, it's easy. So easy. So easy. All right. And now, when did you find your car vandalized?
I found my car vandalized at 9:45 a.m. October 10th.
Can I see pictures of the car, please?
Yeah.
Stand up, sir. Now, you do understand that so far you and I are getting along famously, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You know why we're getting along famously?
Why is that, ma'am?
Because you appear to be respectful, and so far you're telling me an accurate story.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you and your girlfriend have a fight around Taco Bell?
No, ma'am, we didn't.
Tell me what you talked about.
Basically, I just told her who was in the car, and
When you told her who was in the car, what was her reaction?
she kind of like, "Are you serious? That's her?" And then I was like, "Yeah," you know what I'm saying?
So she's asked you, are you serious about what?
I guess the girl that I let her talk to earlier.
So she was still involved in that conversation that you had earlier in the evening.
From earlier, yes, ma'am, because it was her birthday, and I was supposed to be with her on her birthday, but I kind of ditched her to go to the club that I was promoting, ma'am.
You ditched her to go to the club, and you were in a car with somebody else, another woman.
And a gentleman, Dyrell.
She doesn't care about that. And it was your girlfriend's birthday.
Yes, ma'am.
I assume she wasn't happy with you to begin with, that you weren't spending her birthday with her.
Yeah, kind of.
Did you buy her a present?
Well, a couple of
The
nights.
answer is, did
yes,
you buy
yes,
her a
I
present?
actually gave her some money.
How much money did you give her?
$200.
What'd you tell her to do with the $200?
Spend it wisely.
Now you can have a seat. Had your car ever been vandalized before?
No, ma'am.
What kind of car is it?
It is a 2006 CLS Mercedes-Benz.
Now, other than what would appear to me a very strong motive for someone with only a half a brain would have to do something to your car, do you have any independent proof that she did something to your car?
The independent proof that I have is she actually told my cousin on a phone conversation, she asked him if I had called the police because...
No, don't tell me about the conversation she had with your cousin. Stand up, please. Tell me your name.
Dara Halsey.
Did you have a conversation with the defendant, Mr. Halsey?
Yes, ma'am.
When?
Later on that day.
You mean after the vandalism was discovered?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me how that conversation came about.
First, I called Shiggy, Sorrel Shed over there.
You called him?
Yeah.
What did you say to him?
I asked him, like, what happened to you and Sierra last night? Where did she go after you guys? Or what happened with you guys?
And what did he tell you?
Yeah, he said they had gotten to, like, a little slight argument or whatever. And he said that he left.
Did you say that to your friend, that you got into a little slight argument?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Did you get into a little slight argument?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Stand. Move. Oh. Now we're going to play a little bit. You met up with your girlfriend at Taco Bell after you were at a club. It was her birthday. Where did you go?
We went to the house.
Whose house?
Her mom's.
Was her mother home?
Yes, ma'am, she was.
Was she awake?
Yes, ma'am.
What time of the morning was this?
Probably about 3:25.
And what was her mother doing awake in the morning? What
Getting the baby together.
What baby?
Sierra's.
Who's the father of that baby?
Anthony.
Anthony.
How old is her baby?
About to be 2.
So her mother is up with the baby at 3 o'clock in the morning while she's out playing with you at Taco Bell.
Yes, ma'am.
You think that that's appropriate?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If I'd been the judge hearing that tape, your daughter and your mother would be visiting you for about 30 days.
Well, there was no evidence.
30 days they would be visiting you.
As the result of a misunderstanding over a man, Sierra insists she's not the culprit.
Now, what does she do for a living, this one?
She's a nurse.
Who does she minister to?
Her daughter.
Does she get a paycheck
Yes, ma'am, she does.
for taking care of her daughter?
My daughter was born premature, so I actually am, like, working for her, too, as a CNA.
You're working for your daughter?
Yeah, she was born 25 weeks premature, so
And?
she has a lot of developmental issues, basically.
Well, that's not working. That's being a parent.
Well, yeah, that is being a parent, but also it's like a job because I can't really work, so I'm a CNA for my daughter.
Then what are you doing out 3 o'clock in the morning? What are you doing out? Playing around, going from club to club, Waffle House, Taco Bell, while your mother's up 3 o'clock in the morning.
Well, my mom agreed to watch the baby. She said I didn't have to come and get her that night, but usually when we go out, we just pick her up because we don't want to go get her in the morning.
So you went to get her with the boyfriend?
Mm-hmm.
And where did you take her?
Home.
What did you do when you went home? Is not an answer.
You're right, ma'am. Basically, we talked a little bit, and she...
Talked a little bit about what?
About me ditching her on her birthday. And I said,
was she happy about that?
Well, I calmed her down after a while, but at first
So
she was
the
mad.
answer is you had a bit of an argument.
Yes, ma'am.
Now you can sit. See, we got along just fine before you were playing with me.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, after you spoke to your friend and asked him what happened when he and Mother of the Year over here picked up a 2-year-old child that requires full-time medical care and took her out 3 o'clock in the morning.
I didn't say full-time.
Don't interrupt me. You spoke to her.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you call her?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Go ahead.
And I asked her, did she have anything to do messing on my cousin's car? She said no. Then I was like, you wrote your name on the car. She put Mrs. Shed, which is Sorrel Shed's last name. That's what gave me the impression that she did it in the first place. She said she didn't have nothing to do with it at first. She kept saying, accusing my friend Sorrel Shed and my cousin messing around and stuff like that. I was like, they have nothing to do with each other.
Go ahead.
After a long conversation, and I just kept talking to her or not, she said she had somebody vandalize the car. She had nothing to do with it, but she did have somebody follow us from where I dropped Shuggy off with her. She had somebody follow us home and do the damage to my cousin's car.
And we also have that on recording.
I'd like to hear it.
Okay.
I can't understand a word of that. But...
So you said you had somebody follow us? From the Taco Bell to wherever else y'all wait to wherever she stays at. To Beyonce's house.
That's it.
That wasn't me.
That wasn't you?
No.
Are you kidding me? Are you for real? That wasn't you?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
I want to tell you something. I would have granted the full amount of the jurisdiction of the court, but your insurance company paid a good deal of it. I don't understand why she wasn't arrested for felony vandalism, why she wasn't incarcerated for felony vandalism. If I had been the judge hearing that tape and taking the testimony that I just had, your daughter and your mother would be visiting you for about 30 days.
Well, there was no evidence.
30 days they would be visiting you.
There was no evidence.
Listen to me very
She
careful.
played those tapes.
Hey, big mouth. There is evidence. There may have not been evidence to prove you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, because there may have been some unreasonable people that may say, well, maybe there's a chance somebody else got annoyed with her during the course of the same evening. So you may not have been found guilty in a criminal proceeding. There is more than sufficient evidence to find you guilty in this civil proceeding.
Just because I'm making threats to her on the phone.
How old are you?
22.
So you're 22 years old. You have a child who must have some serious physical, mental, or emotional issues if that child requires full-time care.
I didn't say serious.
Full-time care
and I didn't
from
say
you.
full-time either.
Full-time care from you so that you act as her nurse.
That's being a parent,
You act
right?
as her nurse.
But that's being
and
a
that's
parent,
what you
right?
get paid for,
But that's
acting
being
as
a
her
parent,
nurse.
right?
So you already have your hands full. Why don't you do something productive with your life?
I didn't do it.
Why don't you do something productive with your life other than making children? Judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,100. That's all. Step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Now it's case number 389 on the calendar in the matter of Eatman versus Courtier.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Miss Eatman, you and the defendant are neighbors. It is your claim that her dog bit your daughter.
Yes.
And while you were trying to get the dog off of your daughter, you twisted your ankle and had some medical bills.
Yes, that's
You
correct.
want the defendant to be responsible for the injury to your daughter and your medical bills for your twisted ankle.
That's correct.
The defendant says that the dog bit your daughter and it was your daughter's fault. And she is counterclaiming for some nonsense with regard to having to get rid of the dog because of your complaint. Now, how long have you been neighbors, Miss Coutier?
A little over a year.
Okay. Who moved in first?
I did.
How long have you been there?
I've been there for 3 years.
Okay. Now, you had a dog. What kind of a dog did you have?
A pit bull.
How long had you had the dog?
Since he was 3 months old.
Now, the dog was clearly, based upon your answer, a dog that was trained to protect the house.
He was just a family pet.
Well, did you have a sign?
Yes, I have a sign.
Does the sign say I can make it to the fence in 2.8 seconds? Can you?
Yes.
Right. Can I see the sign? Now, you put up that sign in order to warn people that you had a pit bull, which was a dog trained to protect your family. I mean, people who have a Chihuahua usually don't have that kind of sign. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay. It's like saying, I have a security system here. If you burglarize my house, the chances are you're going to get caught. So you're trying to discourage people from coming into the house because you have a security system. Clearly, this dog and this sign was meant to suggest to people that you have your own security system.
Correct.
Right. Now, when did this attack occur on your daughter?
October 22nd.
Prior to October 22nd, 2010, had you ever received a complaint about your dog before?
No.
How old was your dog?
2.
Now, there is no question that the plaintiff's daughter was bitten by your dog, correct?
Correct.
And there's no question that happened on October 22nd, correct?
Correct.
Was the plaintiff's daughter in your house?
They were playing at the front door.
Was the plaintiff's daughter in your house?
Yes. She had come into the home.
That's not what I asked you. Was the plaintiff's daughter in your house?
Yes.
Where was she when she was bitten?
I don't know. I stepped out of the room to use the restroom.
Stepped out of what room?
The living room. And at that time,
Stand
she was
up
not
here.
in there.
Come up here. Tell me your first name.
Bailey.
Bailey. How old are you, Bailey?
10.
You understand that you're in court now?
Yes.
You understand that when you are in court, no matter what you told your mother, you're responsible to tell me exactly what you remember about October 22nd. You do understand that?
Yes.
And you do understand that there are consequences if you don't tell me the truth?
Yes.
Okay. I want you to tell me exactly what happened on October 22nd.
We were playing on our scooters, and then she got off of the scooter, and then she was going towards the door.
Going towards what door?
My front door.
She was going towards the door. Had she said anything when you got off the scooters?
No.
How far from your door was she? Point to something in the room.
Right here.
So from where we are, she was this far away from the door.
Yes.
And what happened?
Then we started playing at the door. And
so then you joined her at the door?
Yes.
So you got off your scooter and you went up to where she was at the door?
Yes.
Is there a porch?
No.
Or just a door?
The door.
So you were both around this far away from the door, from where I am to where you are?
Yes.
And then what happened, Bailey?
Then her elbow, because we have like a handle door, her elbow hit it and she fell back.
She fell back where?
Into the house. She leaned back.
Her elbow hit the door.
It hit the knob.
It hit the knob and she fell back.
Yes.
And when she fell back, what happened?
The dog ran to her and just started biting on her ears.
So I assume the door wasn't locked.
No, because...
Was it a screen door or a regular door?
Regular door.
So it's a regular wooden door?
Yes.
And her hand hit the latch and she fell back inside?
Yes.
Were you pushing around each other?
Yes.
So she was pushing you?
No.
Were you pushing her?
Yes.
Good. Now you can sit down. Tell me your name.
Jayana.
You know where you are. You know you're in court. You know that you have to tell me the truth and that there are consequences to not telling me the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember October 22nd?
Yes.
You're 8 years old?
Yes.
And Bailey is your friend.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to tell me what happened on October 22nd?
I was playing with Bailey. Then he went inside to tell his mom something, and I had my back against the door. Then he opened the door, then he moved. Then I fell, and I thought it was his mom at the door. Then I just felt bite marks.
Do you know what Bailey went to tell his mother?
No.
But he actually went inside?
Mm-hmm.
Did he close the door behind him?
Yes.
Bailey, did you go inside to tell your mother something?
No.
You did not?
No.
Okay. Bailey says that he pushed you against the door when you were playing and your hand hit the door. Did that happen?
No.
It did not. Where did the dog bite you?
On my ear and right here and under my neck.
Did you have any stitches?
Yes.
Do you remember how many you had?
6.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I limped into the hospital. I got her worked on. They asked me did I want to check myself in. I said not at this time because I wanted to get her home.
Show me where that says that anywhere here.
And later today.
What did I do for her? I mean, we hung out, spent time together.
And that valuable commodity you would deem to be worth how much?
At least $1,000, I guess. I mean, that's...
I guess not.
Rashida Eatman says neighbor Naylan Couturier's pit bull attacked her daughter, causing her to sprain her ankle. Naylan is countersuing for the cost and distress of putting the dog down.
Now, either way, you're responsible for your dog's bite. Either your son was playing and pushed her into the door, which is what he says if he's telling the truth, or what the plaintiff's daughter says is that your son went inside to tell you something and he must have left the door unlatched or he didn't close it all the way and she fell into the door because it was not locked. Either way, you're responsible because you have a dog that is... You can make it to the fence in 2.8 seconds. Can you? So your house wasn't safeguarded. Your house wasn't safeguarded from this dog. So you're responsible for her injuries. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Now, this twisted ankle that you had, because I understand that you came over and you managed to get the dog off, and then you don't know how you twisted your ankle, but your ankle was twisted. It's the only thing I have a problem with, actually.
Okay.
So I'd like to see medical proof
Okay.
of your ankle injury. Well, the doctor didn't find any evidence of a problem. It's the same hospital that you took your daughter to earlier that day. Then you came back. When you came back, you said, my ankle hurts. Doctor saw no evidence of swelling, no evidence of bruising. There was an x-ray taken. There was no evidence of anything, except you complained of tenderness, and that's it.
If you read it on the other report, the other hospital bill, I did have swelling when I went in. Because when we took her in... That was
November 2nd.
I went back November 2nd because my ankle has swelled up.
Just a second. From October 22nd, it didn't swell up until November 2nd?
I had swelling that night, Your Honor.
Well, I'm telling you, the hospital didn't see any swelling. 5-6 hours after the incident, because you're taking your daughter in.
No, I took my daughter in to get her worked out. As I got out the ambulance, that's when I noticed that my ankle was swelling. was hurting. I limped into the hospital, okay? I got her worked on. They asked me, did I want to check myself in? I said, not at this time, because I wanted to get her home.
Show me where that says that anywhere here.
It doesn't say that in there.
Doesn't say it anywhere there. Yeah. I think your daughter is entitled to compensation for being bitten by the plaintiff's dog. I think that she's entitled to not only having her medical bills paid, but I think that the defendant is responsible for her pain and suffering, for the fear that she had at the time she was bitten, because the defendant did not adequately ensure that the dog was not in a position to hurt a child, which it did. And you're responsible. That's period, the end of the story. However, I'm not going to expand that to include your ankle.
Okay.
Great. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. Your cross-complaint, Ms. Couturier, is dismissed because your cross-complaint says that your family suffered emotional distress because you were forced to get rid of the dog because of her complaint.
She was threatening my dog, threatening me that she would kill him.
Very good thing that you got rid of the dog.
It was my decision.
It was your decision. Well, then what are you coming here for? Then what do you want?
Because I got rid of him because I was scared that she would actually do something.
I'm just telling you, you said it was your decision. It was your decision. What does that have to do with the court? It was a very good decision that you made to get rid of the dog. The dog bit your neighbor. Your neighbor was not taunting the dog. Your neighbor was not attacking the dog. The child is 8 years old, not doing anything to the dog that would in any way give cause to say, well, you know, this dog was being tormented, teased. Nothing like that happened. So it was a very good idea for you to get rid of the dog. So your counterclaim's dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It was crazy. The dog was all over my daughter.
Warned the kids day in and day out.
Oh, I panicked. I blacked out in the process of it.
Don't play right in front of the door.
So I had to do what I had to do.
Don't play in front of the windows.
You know what? Because the dog has attacked her son.
It irritates the dog.
So I shouldn't really expect her to take responsibility for my child.
I got rid of him.
If she wouldn't take it for her own son, she wouldn't take it for my child. But justice was served.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter, Raysbrook versus Powell. Step forward.
Julie Raysbrook is suing her ex-boyfriend, Stephen Powell, for an unpaid loan to buy a car. Stephen claims Julie offered to give him the money.
Mr. Powell, when did you accept the $1,000 that the plaintiff gave you towards the purchase of a car?
It was right around August last year.
Is that right?
No, Your Honor, it was in October.
Does that sound right, Mr. Powell?
Yeah, she's right. That's right.
And at that time, you were in a relationship with her, is that right?
We were seeing each other, yes, ma'am.
You have children?
Yes, ma'am.
How many?
4.
Where do they live?
2 with one mom and 2 with my ex-wife that we do joint custody with.
What town do you live in?
Marysville, Washington.
And in what town do your children live?
2 are in Everett and 2 are in Stanwood. Relatively close.
And I would assume that there is not a mass transit system where you live.
No, ma'am.
So the way to get to see your children is by what?
Driving.
Now, in October of 2010, did you have a car?
I did for a little bit. I was borrowing it from a friend, and then my friend needed the car back, and so then that's when she...
Just a second. Just answer my question.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Just that slim underside, you know. Everybody is so savvy to survive without working. It's just mind-boggling.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Julie Raysbrook says ex-boyfriend Stephen Powell owes for an unpaid car loan.
So the answer is, in the beginning of October 2010, you did not have a car.
No, Your Honor.
And that would mean that you could not see your children.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, after you took this money from the plaintiff for the car in October of 2010, how much longer did you continue to see her?
Maybe a month.
Now, when you stopped seeing her after these 4 weeks, did you return the money to her?
No, there was never...
Just a second.
No.
Answer, Michael. The answer is no. Did you return the car to her?
No.
What did you do for her for the 4 weeks that you spent together after she had given you the $1,000?
What did I do for her?
Yeah.
I mean, we hung out, spent time together.
Yes. And that valuable commodity you would deem to be worth how much?
At least $1,000, I guess. I mean, that's what...
I guess not. How old are you, Mr. Powell?
31.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a carpenter.
You work for yourself?
No, ma'am.
What do you work for?
I was in the union, and I just got laid off. Well, I've been laid off for a little while.
For how long?
About a year and a half, because I had a shoulder surgery.
So you haven't worked in a year and a half. How do you support yourself?
I was getting what they call time loss.
Explain that to me. All these new programs are somewhat of a mystery to me.
Instead of going through L&I, it's something that my company...
O&I?
L&I.
What is that?
L&I, like when you're not working, or if you get hurt on the job, L&I covers wages. And instead of my company going through that, they didn't want their insurance to go higher, so they do a KOS, keep on salary, so they were paying my regular salary while I was going through my physical therapy and all that stuff.
And when did your physical therapy end?
Probably like 5 months ago.
So how have you been supporting yourself for the last 5 months?
I haven't been.
Well, you're eating.
Food stamps.
So you get food stamps?
Yes, Your Honor.
And who do you live with?
Just by myself.
How do you pay your rent?
I've been having friends help me.
Friends?
Friends.
Have a new girlfriend?
No, Your Honor.
How do your friends help you?
Loan me money.
Is he one of your friends?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. Stand. Last name?
Burrows.
Who do you work for, Mr. Burrows?
I work for a friend right now, doing a
You work for a friend doing what?
Gutter company. I install gutters.
You get paid in check or cash?
In cash.
Sit down, Mr. Burrows. It's just that slim underside, you know, that, you know, it's not all the way what I'm used to understanding from my family court days, but it's all these new programs and things that everybody is so savvy at putting together to survive without working and without paying taxes, and it's just mind-boggling to me. Now, Miss Raysbrook, what kind of work did you do?
I was in the Navy.
How long were you in the Navy?
6 years.
Decided you had enough Navy?
I have 3 young children, and that was enough for me to handle.
What do you do now?
I go to school full-time, and I run a small nonprofit organization.
Who do you live with?
Myself and my 3 children.
And who supports you?
I support myself.
From what?
GI Bill, student loans.
The GI Bill pays for?
Tuition and living expenses.
How much do you get from the GI Bill?
$13.21 a month.
What else?
Unemployment in the state of Washington has a commissioner-approved training program, and I'm putting myself with their assistance through nursing school. So I continue to receive unemployment benefits while I'm attending school full-time.
And how much do you receive from unemployment?
$2,100 a month.
That's about $3,500 a month. Is that the total extent of what money you have?
Child support from my ex-husband is $500
a month.
Correct.
And is he current in his child support?
He is not.
He is not?
He is not. He's 2 months behind.
How much after you gave Mr. Powell this $1,000 did he leave?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
We remained friends for a while. He stated that when I loaned him the money, we were in a relationship, and that's not true. We had ended our dating relationship at least a month prior and remained friends, had lunch occasionally, spoke, Facebook, text messaging. And in January, which was when he was supposed to start paying me back, I hadn't received a payment, contacted him in February, and he informed me that he had had an on-the-job injury and told me, you know, I don't have the money to pay you right now. I have my child support obligations for my children, and I've got other issues that have come up, but I'm expecting a settlement that should be paid to me sometime late in the summer, and at that point I can pay you in full. I won't even have to do the monthly payments that we agreed to. I can just give you your $1,000 and we can just, you know, be settled and walk away. So in June, I contacted him. He made his first payment to me in June.
And is that the only payment he made?
It is, Your Honor.
He pay you in check or cash?
Cash.
Did you meet for him to give you the cash?
At his house, yes.
You went to his house?
Correct.
It wasn't a payment. It wasn't a payment.
What was it?
It was more or less to get her off my back.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $900. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused and they step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Yeah, it's case number 446 on the calendar, the matter of Jones versus Clark.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
How old are you, Miss Jones?
How old am I? 19.
And you?
18.
And what do you do to keep yourself busy?
I go to Youngstown State University, and I work at Subway.
And you?
I was formerly working at Walmart. Right now, I'm just looking for a place to stay down in Atlanta, Georgia.
So you're not doing anything?
Not right now.
How many credits do you take, Ms. Jones?
14.
Getting reasonable grades?
Yes.
Great. Okay. You used to be friends, now you don't like each other anymore. I don't know why you just can't separate and not like each other, but I guess that's just not the way things are done. So it is your claim that the defendant harasses you and vandalized your car after an incident. Ms. Clark says that actually you harass her. She doesn't have a counterclaim and certainly denies vandalizing your car. You were friends in high school?
Yes.
And I read in your papers that sometime in September of last year, you engaged in a fist fight. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
That's smart. And where did the fist fight take place?
My boyfriend's house.
Had you invited her there for a fist fight? You mean she showed up?
Somebody else invited her, but I didn't invite her.
And when you got there, there was an altercation, and was there a police report?
No.
Was anybody injured?
No.
No, not really.
And then subsequently, in Walmart, were you working in Walmart at the time?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
You went into Walmart.
Yes.
For what reason?
To go shopping.
Now, Miss Jones, did you know that Miss Clark worked in Walmart?
Yes.
Yes. And that's the only place that you could have shopped?
No.
And when you got there, you saw Miss Clark. What did you do?
I waved at her and I blew a kiss at her.
You waved at her how? And blew a kiss at her?
Yes.
How? And then your friend said something to her?
Yes.
What did your friend say to her?
She asked her about what did the defendant say on Facebook about her.
So it was something negative?
Right.
And your wave and your kiss was also negative?
No.
Baloney. Because after you had had a fight, you hadn't made up after the fight, right?
Right.
So it was a nasty blow-off kiss and wave. Now, on what date did you instigate this problem?
This was November 1st.
And on what day was your car vandalized?
November 1st.
So on November 1st, Miss Clark must have gotten off from work and came to your house.
Right.
Had she contacted you first?
Yes.
Let me hear about it.
Around maybe 10, she called me back to back to back, and
10 p.m.
Around 10, yes.
What time had you gotten off from work?
10:30.
Why did you start to call her?
Because she had came to my job and asked me when I was getting off. I let her know. She said she would be in the parking lot waiting for me, and I figured I'm not going to back down from this challenge. I'm not going to let her bully me anymore.
Well, you had already had one fight with her in September.
Yes, but being that she keeps harassing me, we decided it wasn't going to be around 3. She lost her contact, let it go. She took it further. She wants to wave to me, blow kisses, say she's going to meet me in my parking lot at work, which I can't say anything because I don't want to get fired. I don't want my employees to be, what is this mess?
Go ahead.
That is definitely not true. After we fought, the day before we went to Walmart, it was a Halloween party.
Talking about November 1st. Let's get to November 1st.
After she called me back to back to back, just kept calling me, maybe around 11. She called me again, I answered. I heard somebody in the background say, she's not gonna come outside, she's not gonna come outside. So I said, she might be at my house. So I went downstairs, my father followed me, he heard her screaming my name saying, come outside, Alexis, come outside. I looked out the window, I seen her with a weapon in her hand. I don't know if it was a bat or a belt, she had a weapon, it was dark. I came outside, was saying, get off my property. My parents came outside, pushed me in the house because they didn't want us to get into another fist fight. My parents proceeded to talk to her and her friends. She had other girls with her.
Who talked to her?
My mother and my father had a conversation with her while I was in the house.
Could you step up, please? Your last name is?
Jones.
Did you have a conversation, Mr. Jones, with Miss Clark that evening?
I didn't have a conversation with her, but I did witness her at our property in our driveway.
So you didn't speak to her?
I didn't speak to her, no.
Go ahead.
My parents were talking to her.
No, your father, they weren't talking to her.
Oh, well, my father
I don't
was
know if your
out.
mother was or not, but your parents weren't. You only have one parent here. He said he wasn't talking to her.
My father was talking to me. My father was outside. I was in the house, and
listen to me. Slowly, and only what you remember is true. It's very bad to bring your witness, even if it's your father, and the first thing he does is deny what you're telling me is true. Do you understand?
Yes.
Perfect. Keep going.
My parents came back in the house,
and I saw Shakila and her friends walking down the driveway to leave. As they were walking down the driveway, I was looking out the window. Her other friends that were with her went into the car. She was still outside of the car. I heard a loud noise. I didn't witness her do it, but I heard a loud noise. And then my father went outside, and then he saw the window.
Don't tell me what he saw. And Mr. Jones, November 1st, you bring your daughter back into the house.
Yes.
And then what happened?
My wife continued to try to have a conversation with her. I wanted them to get off the property. I didn't care really what happened. I was trying to get them to get off the property. One of the girls that was with her had a weapon in her hand. I didn't know exactly what it was at the time.
So not Miss Clark, one of the other girls.
I'm not saying it wasn't Miss Clark. I was busy keeping her from coming out on the porch with my dog.
Well, you just said to me, Mr. Jones, it was one of the other girls that had a weapon in their hand.
I said there was another girl that was with her that could have had the weapon. She could have had a weapon. I'm not sure who had it. I witnessed the weapon.
But you didn't see it in her hand.
I'm being honest. No, I didn't.
Great. Go ahead.
We got the girls to leave the property. As they were leaving the property, we witnessed them get into the vehicle. So we thought. We went into the house to have a conversation with my daughter to figure out what the story was about, why they came here, what was going on. Next thing I hear is a pop or a crack. I look out the window. I see someone swing at the car, the back of the car. All right, they hop into the back of it was an Expedition, and they drove off.
Now, you said they hopped into the back of an Expedition.
The door.
So you heard a pop, and then you saw how many people hop in the back of the Expedition?
I saw one person.
And it was an Expedition?
It was an Expedition.
Whose car is the Expedition?
My friend's boyfriend, Jabray.
Who was driving the car?
She was, my friend. She's not here right now. She had classes to attend to.
So she was driving?
Yes.
Who else was in the car with you? Just a second. Were you in the car?
Yes.
Step up. Last name?
Belcher.
Where were you sitting in the car?
The back seat of the passenger side.
Back seat?
Of the passenger side.
Who was sitting in the front seat?
My friend's boyfriend.
Friend's boyfriend?
Yes. There was.
So you and the defendant were in the back?
And another person.
Other person's name?
Millie.
Who had something in their hand?
None of us.
Somebody did. Sit.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What kind of heating system do you have in your house?
We have electric furnace.
Oh, that's too bad. Should have coal. Make her put coal in the furnace. Keep her busy. Doesn't have enough to do to keep herself busy.
And later today.
Listen, Low.
Yes.
Pay your tickets. You
They're
were
not my tickets.
irresponsible.
I paid $200 to pay for the tickets, and he never did. They accumulated to $400.
I can explain that if need be.
Clark broke out the back window of her car as the result of an argument.
Now, we eliminated the driver and the person sitting in the front passenger seat. So it's either 1, 2, or Millie. Millie's not here, but she knows either she did it or she knows who it was who broke the back windshield of your car. So this is your problem, Miss Clark. Either you or this young lady or Millie busted the window of whose car?
Mine.
Her car. I actually don't care if it was you or not, because it was you or you know who it was. Do you understand?
I understand.
Perfect. So if you didn't do it, you can sue the person who did it, because you're going to pay for it. Because but for you, they wouldn't have gotten to the house. Did you know where she lived?
No.
What?
No.
Stand. Move over there. Who gave directions to the house?
Shaki.
There you go. Life is so easy. Sit down.
Your Honor, I have a different story.
You have what?
A different story from what they told you.
She just told me the story. Your witness. Your witness just told me the story. I don't care what brought you to the house. No. What brought you to the house was no good. The only thing I'm interested in is the broken window. There's no question that there's no question that there was a broken window, and there's no question that either you, her, or Millie broke the window. And since you gave directions to get to the house after work, you were going there for absolutely no good. You will pay for the window. That doesn't mean that I like your conduct, because you really started all this mess that day by going in and starting acting disrespectfully after it was over. It was September. You had September or October. It was finished. You started it over again because you don't have enough to do. What kind of heating system do you have in your house?
We have electric furnace.
Oh, that's too bad. Should have coal. Make her put coal in the furnace. Keep her busy. Doesn't have enough to do to keep herself busy, sir. How much was the window?
$180.
Now, when did you get a protective order against Miss Clark?
It was granted November 3rd.
And was that a temporary order?
Yes.
Did it expire?
No. Well, it's for a year.
Was she present when you got the order?
Yes. I didn't see her, though.
Were you present when protective order was issued to the plaintiff?
They served me a subpoena to my house. The sheriff came and he gave it to me. I had to go in, for court or whatever, but I never was in contact with her. I never seen her in court.
So you consented to a protective order?
Yes.
So now you got to stay away from her. Got it?
Yes.
And pay her $180 to fix her window. Thank you very much. That's all. Thank
you. Parties are excused. You may step out.
We just fought and everything was done. It was over with.
Because she lost.
But that didn't give her a right to bust out my window, so.
And I mean, if I lost, I would still come back 20 times harder also.
Drama.
Me not following through and telling her everything as a best friend would do.
Gossip, he say, she say.
Stuff with me and my boyfriend, stuff about going on in my everyday life.
It is really ridiculous. Waste of time.
We fell out, we went to different schools. Get over it.
She busted out my window, she got to pay for it.
I mean, hey, I'm gonna let her think whatever she wants to so she can sleep at night, okay?
Stay away from her. No contact.
We're gonna go our separate ways. She has a restraining order on me. I'm not trying to go to jail,
Stay away from drama, stay away from her, I'll be fine.
I'm not trying to do the time, But other than that, I'm cool.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Weinstein-Bacall versus Loeb step forward.
24-year-old Max Weinstein-Bacall II is suing his former friend, Jason Loeb, for parking tickets on a van he lent to Jason when his band went on tour.
Is your last name Bacall?
Weinstein-Bacall.
What can I call you for short?
Max.
Max. You loaned your truck to the defendant. Defendant doesn't deny he borrowed the truck, and he doesn't deny that while he was borrowing the truck or van that was used for some sort of band, which I am totally disinterested in, he got parking tickets.
Yes.
You want him to pay the parking tickets.
Yes.
So that we agree on the fact, sir, that you borrowed the van.
I borrowed the van, yes.
We agree on the fact that you got parking tickets while the van was in your possession.
I have not actually seen the parking
Well,
tickets.
let's take care of that right now. Officer Byrd, would you please hand the defendant the tickets, which should have been taken care of before. Let him examine the tickets. Examine the dates of the tickets, sir. Make sure that the van was in your possession or under your control during that time.
This ticket was issued after I'd borrowed the van.
Afterwards?
Yes.
What's the date of the ticket?
August 18th, 2010.
I can explain that if need be.
Take that one out, and I'll let you explain that one. Go ahead. What's the next one?
This is just the itinerary from my band for when we had.
Fine. So all those tickets with the exception of this one. And what is the amount of this?
The amount on here is $86.
Okay. He says all the rest are legitimately his responsibility, but for any convoluted defense that he might have, except for the one on August 18th for $86.
Yes.
The ball is in your court.
Well, they had borrowed the van. They returned it to me. I was unaware of any parking tickets, and that one was issued the day after they returned it, and they were supposed to return the van to me at my house where the parking is not zoned, but they parked it about 5 or 6 blocks from my house where it was heavily zoned, high ticket area, and I got the ticket for the amount.
Well, were you advised when the van would be returned?
Yes.
On what date was the van to be returned?
Last day of their tour was the 17th, and the next day was when it was supposed to be returned, the 18th.
Well, did you get a call where it was? What time?
They called and said that they left it at the spot where it was about 5 or 6 blocks from me, and said they left the key under the mat in the unlocked car.
Your Honor, the van, we organized with Max that the van would be returned by my witness, Kristen Southard.
Just tell me, on what date did you return the van?
I didn't return the van myself.
On what date was the van returned?
It was returned after we got back from
Fine.
tour.
The $86 one is yours. Now, yours. Now, you have a defense.
Yes, my defense is that we had a verbal agreement before tour that the van wasn't tour ready, so we needed to get an alternator and a windshield fixed in order to drive the van.
An alternator?
Yes.
And a windshield fixed?
Yes, it was cracked. It would have been unsafe to drive it otherwise.
Go ahead. And?
And so the agreement was The plaintiff decided that he went to the mechanic and had somebody look at it and decide that it
Don't tell me what somebody decided. I want to know your defense.
It was about $600 to fix it, and he agreed that if I paid him $600, that he would let us borrow the van. So I gave him $600,
Just a second.
and he didn't have...
Just a second.
Yes.
So, in effect, he rented the van to you for $600?
Yes, basically.
Just a second. In effect, he rented it to you for $600.
Except
How
he
long
didn't fix
did you,
the windshield.
Just a second.
Sure.
How long did you have the van?
Roughly 13 or 14 days.
And how much would it have cost you to get a van of that size to go on your tour? How much?
Much more than that.
Much more than that?
Yes.
So, you rented his van for $600.
Yes.
Perfect. What's your defense to these tickets?
Well, he agreed that he would fix the windshield. He didn't have time to fix the windshield and said that he would give me the money back from the $600 that wasn't used. And then when we had found out about the tickets, we had decided that I would give him the $200 in order to pay for the tickets, and then he never used that money to pay for the tickets. He didn't use all that money to fix the alternator and never fix the windshield.
Well, what were you paying to rent the van?
To fix those so that it was tour ready.
I was lending them the van, which was not running at the time. I needed the money to get it running to lend them.
Listen, Low.
Yes.
Pay your tickets. You were
They're not my tickets.
irresponsible.
I paid $200.
They're on. No, you
I
didn't.
gave him $200 to pay for the tickets, and he never did. They accumulated.
Sarah Ali says she was punched in the face at Dan Dugan's nightclub. Sarah says the culprit was one of Dan's bouncers.
Miss Ali, it is your claim that you and a boyfriend were at defendant's club, and you were, without provocation, assaulted by an employee of his. And the defendant's position is that you were intoxicated and that any injuries that you sustained as a result of your own intoxication. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
On May 9th of this year.
How old are you?
I'm 21.
And what do you do?
I go to school and I do customer service.
What school do you go to?
OSU.
What is that?
Ohio State.
You a full-time student?
Part-time.
And you work part-time or full-time?
Part-time.
Who's your boyfriend? Is he here?
He's right there.
How old is he?
He's 22.
Does he go to school also?
Yes.
Now, on the 9th of May, who were you at this club with?
I was with him.
Just
with
the
my
two of you?
boyfriend. Just two of us.
Had you been to this club before?
I've been there once before.
What time did you arrive there?
I arrived there about 11:40.
Where had you been before that evening?
Before that evening, I've been to the movies.
With your boyfriend?
Yes.
And from the movies, you went to the club?
Yes.
Tell me what happened.
Okay, at the time when we got there, we were just having fun, just around there, and then it got about 2 o'clock. It was time for everybody to go home. And we were about to leave, and then one of the security guards, he was gonna open the back door for us to leave, and all of a sudden I heard another security guard yelling behind us. He came and he said, "I know you two heard me calling you back there. Why are you ignoring me?" And my boyfriend nicely said that, "I'm sorry we didn't hear you, but we are leaving right now." And then he said, "No, you can't go because I know you were ignoring me and you need to tell me why you were ignoring me." And then he grabbed my arm. And when he grabbed my arm, I yanked my arm off him and told him, "Please don't ever touch me again." And as soon as I said that, he must have got mad and he grabbed both of us and just pushed us against the wall real hard.
Shh, don't say anything.
When he pushes against the wall real hard, like it hurt my back. And then all of a sudden it happened so fast that he hit me and I must have dropped because I don't remember exactly what happened. I heard noises, but I couldn't see. I remember my boyfriend grabbing me. When he grabbed me, we were pushed out from the back door. And then we heard all noises and I heard my boyfriend call the police and the ambulance for me. And then when the cops arrived, he asked us what happened. And when my boyfriend tried...
Can I see the police report?
Sure.
Is the security guard still in your employ?
No, ma'am, he's not.
What's his name?
I know him as Big Ant.
Big Ant?
Yes.
How long did he work for you?
It's perhaps a year or so.
Well, Mr. Dugan, you pay your employees on the books?
Sometimes.
Did you pay Big Ant on the books or off the books? Look at me.
Yes, ma'am.
On the books or off the books?
He was paid cash at the end of every night. I do not know if he reported it.
Well, I'm just asking you because if you paid him on the books, then you'd have to have a name other than Big Ant.
Yes, ma'am.
You thought this was going to be easy?
No, ma'am.
It's not going to be easy,
Yes, ma'am.
because you weren't there that night,
No, I wasn't.
and you don't know what happened. Hopefully,
I was home with my pregnant wife, who was
Hope-
2 weeks away from giving birth, ma'am.
listen, they're good for you.
Thank you.
And I hope everything turned out okay. But right now you have this gentleman who I assume wants to tell me what he saw because he was there that night. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
You'll be up there in a second. I want you to make sure you got it all straight in your head. You understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any other reports that you have?
No, ma'am. I have some pictures of the incident that
I would
happened
like to
to
see
my
them.
eye.
You were treated at the hospital for
my eye.
You had a laceration under your eye. According to the police, somebody socked you in the eye.
Right.
Is that the only injury that you sustained?
Yes.
Jones.
On what date did Big Ant terminate your employ?
As of that night, not heard from him since.
When you say as of that night, is that because he didn't return to work on the 10th? Or because you told him not to return to work on the 10th?
He left before the police arrived, or when the police arrived.
And you know that from this gentleman?
He and other employees.
Why did Big Ant take off?
Have no idea, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Jones, how long have you been in Mr. Dugan's employ?
On and off for about 5 years.
In what capacity?
I work with the bands that work there on a particular night, specifically Sunday nights.
What do you mean you work with the bands?
I'm also a member of the band also.
How many hours were you working that night?
I usually arrive at the club early, about 8 o'clock, and then the band usually starts performing anywhere between 10:30 and 11 o'clock at night.
When you're playing with the band, do you have any alcohol?
No, I don't drink at all.
Tell me what you observed on the 9th of May.
At around 2:15, anywhere between 2:15 and 2:30, we asked that security start having people leave the bar because by law, everybody has to be out of the bar by 2:30. Also, what happens is the bar staff will not count any money until all the patrons are out of the bar. Well, they were walking the other direction,
They were walking in what direction?
toward the side door, which is basically like an emergency exit. Big Ant is telling them, hey, you got to go out. We have to leave now. You have to go this way. Well, he said it 5 or 6 times. By the time he gets up to them, they get together. Some words were exchanged. I don't know exactly what was said, but all I know is I seen a hand come up, which looked like a female hand. He was scratched, and there was a ruckus in between her and her boyfriend and Big Ant. And it wasn't a punch, it was more or less like an open hand smack like that. But he's a big guy, so it may have caused some damage. But it looked like she attacked him first.
Well,
That's a lie.
you didn't, shh, Mr. Jones, you didn't actually see that.
Yes, I did. From where I was standing, what I could see, yeah.
Where you were standing, what you can see. Now, you're equivocating. The one thing you didn't equivocate about was you saw Big Ant hit her. It looked like with an open hand somewhere around her face. That you said you saw.
Yes.
Well, an open hand doesn't cause this kind of damage. Okay, let's go back to what you saw at the beginning. You said that you saw what appeared to be a female hand. Is that what you told me?
Yeah, going up like this, coming down at him.
Well, how many females were standing there, Mr. Jones?
It was only one.
So describe what a female hand looks like, Mr. Jones.
Well, I mean, the female hand is not nearly as big as a man's hand in most cases, is what I think. I could be
So
wrong.
there were 3 people there.
Right.
Is that right? Big Ant, this young lady, and her boyfriend.
Right.
So when you say to me, I saw what appeared to be a female hand, of necessity, it would have to be the plaintiff, unless her boyfriend has feminine hands. Is that right, Mr. Jones?
Could be, could not be.
Well, I mean, by a process of elimination, if there are 3 people standing there, unless, according to you, Big Ant scratched himself, sir, it would have to be one of the other 2 people.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
I'm having too much fun. Now, did you wait around for the police to arrive, sir?
Yes, ma'am, I was still there.
Did you observe the ambulance?
I seen the ambulance pull up, yes.
So you knew that the police were treating this as a serious incident.
Yes.
Is that right?
Well, if they were called, yes.
And if they were treating this as a serious incident, clearly they were treating this young lady as the victim.
Right.
And certainly, based upon what you told me, you observed that this young lady was the aggressor in this incident. Is that right?
Yes, they both were.
No, you didn't say both. I said, who was the aggressor? Based upon what you told me, she was the aggressor, is that right? And you would want to be a good citizen. You are a good citizen, aren't you, Mr. Jones?
Yes, Your Honor.
Could you explain to me how the police report is silent with regard to your statement to the police that she was the aggressor and scratched him?
No policeman ever came and talked to me.
Well, do you think that the police have some sort of crystal ball? If you have information that this employee of the club that you know for a year was the real victim, and there were a lot of people there, you think it's a good idea to go up to the police and say, listen, I saw the whole thing. She scratched him first. Look at his face. Well, the police report doesn't say anything about Big Ant having any scratches on his face.
Well, he wasn't there to make a report.
Even more of a reason for someone who witnessed the whole process to go up to the police and say, listen, the guy took off, but he was really not responsible. She was responsible. She assaulted him. Isn't that right, Mr. Jones?
Yeah.
Sit down.
Can I make one statement?
Anything else you want to say to me, Mr. Dugan?
I don't think so, Your
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount requested, $3,000. That's all.
Kelly Babert claims former friends Heather and Mary Wilson have been harassing her. Kelly says the harassment started after she was stabbed by one of Heather's friends.
Now, it's case number 47 on the calendar in the matter of Johnston Barbera versus Wilson. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Johnson?
Yes.
This is your daughter?
Yes.
Your daughter was the victim of very serious assault.
Yes.
When did that take place?
June 3rd of 05.
She was stabbed. Is that right? It is your claim that these two young ladies, one of them was involved in the stabbing, and since the perpetrator of the crime was arrested, both of them have engaged in a course of conduct that amounts to serious harassment of Kelly. And since their mother has not been responsible in seeing to it that they behave themselves, you want her to be responsible now and pay the damages. Miss Wilson says her daughters were in no way involved in this and have not, in fact, been harassing your daughter. That's your defense. Is that right?
My daughters were not involved in the stabbing, no.
Okay. Who's Heather? Everybody can sit down except Heather. No, you stay there.
Oh, okay.
When did the stabbing take place, Heather?
June 3rd.
Was it a school day or not a school day?
It was a school day.
Who were you with after school?
I didn't go to school. I was sick that day.
But you didn't stay home.
I did stay home.
No, you didn't. You didn't stay home all day. Listen to me. Let's understand something. I don't care what you told your mother. I don't care what you told the police. I don't care what you told anybody. We're going to have a truthful conversation here. Yes, otherwise, it's going to be very unpleasant for you. Do we understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, the name of the girl who stabbed Kelly is what?
Michelle Brooker.
Otherwise known as?
Shelly Brooker.
And she is a friend of yours?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you meet her on June the 3rd? What time?
I don't know exactly what time it was.
Morning or afternoon?
It was afternoon.
Did she come to your house or did you go to her house?
I didn't go to her house. We met up.
Met where?
At the corner store.
How did you know to meet her at the corner store?
She called me and asked her to meet her there.
What did she say to you when she called you?
She said that her and Kelly were going to begin in a fight, and I said, okay, and she asked me to meet her there, and I met her there.
She said she and Kelly, this young lady,
yes,
was going to be in a fight, and she wanted you to meet her there for what reason?
I guess to get in a fight.
So you met her at the corner store. Who else was there?
Just me and her.
And where did you go?
To the park.
Who was in the park?
Datrion, Cameron.
Who's Datrion?
My friend.
Who else?
Cameron, my friend. Chris.
Chris? Who was Chris?
My friend.
Are you tired?
Yes, ma'am. And Marquis.
Who was Marquis?
My friend.
And Shelley?
And a whole bunch of other people that I didn't know.
Where was Kelly?
There.
With whom?
With all of them.
And what about Shelley? Were they Shelley's friends as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Uncross your hands. What happened when you got to the park?
They were yelling back and forth.
Stop moving. Who was yelling back and forth?
Kelly and Shelley.
What happened?
Well, I saw Heather and Shelley walking, and then they sat down like by the bleachers by us, and they were just talking for a little bit, and then we started yelling.
What were you yelling?
Just like we were just calling each other names. And
who were you calling names?
Shelley, and it was going back and forth.
Why were you unhappy with Shelley? And why was Shelley unhappy with you?
We didn't get along. Like we just never really. I didn't really know her. Like I wasn't friends with her. It was just kind of an acquaintance.
Were you in the park intending to fight that day?
Yeah.
Who had called you?
Well, I was over at Chris's house with those people that she named off, and I can't remember if Chris called Shelly, but they were talking on the phone, and then plans kind of happened.
Plans kind of happened to have a fight?
Yes.
So you all go to the park to have a fight. Is that right?
Yes.
And that's why you're there as well, correct? Did you have any weapon?
No.
Did you have any weapon?
Nope.
But Shelly had a weapon. When for the first time did you see Shelly's weapon?
When she pulled it out.
And where was she when she pulled it out?
Right next to Kelly, fighting her.
And what did she pull out?
Switchblade, I think.
Switchblade. And what did she do with the switchblade?
Stab Kelly.
How many times?
5, I think. That's what I heard.
Well, you were standing right there.
I was a distance, but I was there, yeah.
And after she stabbed Kelly 5 times, what did you do?
Left.
Who did you leave with?
Nobody. By myself.
Who called an ambulance for her?
I don't know.
Why didn't you?
Because I didn't want to go to jail.
Go to jail for what?
Because they would have thought that was part of it.
Oh, you think so?
I thought so.
You think so?
I was scared. I was only 13. I didn't know that was going to happen.
Well, who called an ambulance for her?
I have no idea. I left.
But you did know one thing, madam. You knew that Shelly had committed a vicious assault. And as far as you could tell that day, she might have been dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
When did Shelly come to your house?
It's not for...
No. When did Shelly... Look at me. When did Shelly come to your house?
Like a month after, weeks after.
Are you telling me that you didn't speak to Shelly between June 3rd?
I spoke to her.
And where was she when you spoke to her?
Over the phone, not in...
Where was she when you spoke to her?
She didn't tell me.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you. If your mother believes you, then she wants to believe you. I don't believe you. Because a 13-year-old girl says, where are you? The police are looking for you.
She said, I don't want the police to know, and so I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, yeah, I don't believe that for a second. Did you call the police and tell the police that you had been receiving phone calls from her?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
I don't know.
Why not?
I don't know.
And when did she come to your house?
Months afterwards. You can ask my mother.
You mean, I'm not asking your mother, I'm asking you. Does your mother work?
Yes, ma'am.
She's out of the house Monday through Friday?
Yes, ma'am.
She doesn't know what's going on in the house when she's not there. She doesn't know what's going on in the house when she's not there, and she doesn't know whether Shelly came to the house, you gave her food, you gave her money, you gave her clothes. She doesn't know any of that. I know it.
Well, I didn't.
Oh, yes, you did. Oh, yes, you did. The same way you walked away, leaving her to bleed to death, is the same way that you helped your friend Shelly, because you went there to fight at your friend Shelly's request. That's why you went there.
I didn't go to fight.
Then you should have stayed home, because according to you, you didn't go to school because you were sick. Now, when your mother came home, did you tell her what happened?
No, ma'am.
No, because you were supposed to be home, so you lied to her. Again, right?
Yes.
How long did you lie to your mother?
I didn't keep making up lies, but until...
Well, when for the first time did you tell your mother that you had been there and witnessed the stabbing?
When the detective showed up at my house.
That's right. So until then, you kept lying to your mother.
Well, I just didn't tell.
How long were you hospitalized?
For like a week.
Where were you stabbed?
My stomach, both my arms, my back, and my leg.
What kind of a sentence was imposed on Shelly?
She got 2 years. I don't remember what if it was first-degree assault.
She's incarcerated for 2 years?
Yeah.
How old is she?
I think she's a year younger than I am.
How old are you?
17.
She's still incarcerated?
Yeah, she gets out in November.
Did she go to trial?
Yes.
She went to trial? What was her defense? I'm curious.
She said that it was self-defense.
Self-defense. Where was the other knife?
It wasn't.
That's why she was convicted. Now, it is your claim that these 2 young ladies have been harassing you. And as a matter of fact, you have protective orders. I want you to tell me when the first incident of harassment started.
Well, I can't remember which one was first or whatever, but there was a whole bunch of stuff off MySpace and just writing back and forth. And Mary was just talking about she's too old to fight me or whatever, but she has other people that will. And
when did she say that to you?
She wrote it on MySpace.
Can I see it, please?
Yeah, I'm going to give you the police report also that verified it, because when we went to print that out, we were out of printer ink, and she took it off immediately after, but we have 3 of the different things here.
How old are you?
20.
Is there something wrong with you? Why did you even communicate at all with her?
The reason that I communicated with her was on MySpace, like she had said was true. But through a friend of ours, there's a picture of my daughter on his MySpace, or there was. I couldn't print it out because he deleted the picture. But she said that my baby was ugly.
So what?
And you can't delete male messages off MySpace to show others.
You just told me that you communicated with her.
On a phone call, but I didn't communicate on a MySpace message.
Well, what did you say to her?
I was calling her a whole bunch of names and told her that she should have kept mine and my kid's name out of her mouth. And I did say that she's lucky that I was too old to beat her up. But I never said that I had friends that could beat her up or anything like that.
Actually, it says it right here that...
Can I see it, please?
Yeah.
She called the house the same evening. She emailed, and then later that night, Kelly and I both answered the phone.
You called again between 8:30 and 9 p.m.
That's the only time I called her.
Shelley didn't kill you when she stabbed you, but I will?
No, that is not me writing that. Why would I try to kill a little kid? I don't want to go to jail. I have a daughter. This is...
Yeah, I don't think that you wanted to do that at all. I just think that you said it just to be stupid.
Yeah, but
I don't think that you meant it at all. I think that you said it to be stupid.
I mean, yes,
now, when did you know that your sister was having trouble with her?
I knew when the detective came to our house and spoke that she had been at the stabbing. And I figured that they had problems because her and Shelley didn't get along. So I figured my sister's Shelley's friend, then obviously she's not going to get along with her either.
Your sister has a bad attitude. Did you know that?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
You know, not a bad, very bad attitude.
Yes, I'm very aware.
Does your mother know that your sister has a very bad attitude?
Mm-hmm.
I can tell from looking at her face. If I were her mother and had a face like that, look at me when I talk to her, it would be the last time I would look at that face, madam. It would be the last time I would look at that face. How old are you?
15.
Do you want to be a miserable, ugly person your whole life?
No, ma'am.
Well, you're starting out that way. You really are. You can either be successful and productive, or you can be a loser. Right now, you're on the road to loser. Big time. Does your mother tell you that?
No.
Well, I'm telling you, big time. You've got a miserable attitude. I can tell that from 20 feet away. I didn't even have to live with you as long as your sister did. You think that people are going to be attracted to you because you're tough?
No, ma'am.
They won't. They'll think you're an idiot. Can't you do anything with her?
I've tried. As you can see, it's complete opposite, and trust me, we've tried. It's just, if you don't have the attitude to change, nobody around you can make you change, and she doesn't want to change, so.
Do you discuss that with your mother?
Yes, me and my mom do talk about it.
You have my sympathy.
Thank you.
You really have my sympathy. I don't know what you're going to do with her. You know, when they're little, you can, deal with them better. You'd put them in a corner and you'd say, time out, and here's a good crack in your head, too. But she's too big for that.
Just gotta wait for her to move out. 18's coming.
What's with you, my dear? Why are you so angry? Why are you so angry? Why are you so hell-bent on destroying your life?
I'm not trying to destroy my life.
But you are.
I'm not.
You are. Your mother can't wait for you to turn 18 so that you get out of the house because you're making the rest of the family miserable. Is anybody at home abusing you?
No, ma'am.
Well, then I don't understand why you're so miserable.
Well,
you were involved in a very serious crime. You did absolutely the wrong thing. If a 13-year-old person, who's not an infant, sees a dog get hit in the street, they call an ambulance. They don't walk home and just, relax. Get stabbed 5 times by somebody who had a weapon, and you were able just to go home and sleep and get it. It's not important.
I didn't know what I was supposed to do.
You were supposed to get help for somebody that needed it because you were involved. You want to know why you were involved? Because if you and these other people hadn't gone with Shelley to the park, Shelley wouldn't have gone to the park. Shelley took strength in the fact that her friends were with her. You're all accomplices. Yes, you were. But for the fact that you all gave Shelley support, Shelley would not have had the courage to go to the park alone and stab her with a knife. She may have done it on another day, but she wouldn't have done it on your watch. That's why you're responsible. And then from a humane perspective, how could you just walk away and leave someone to bleed to death on the street? Now, I want you to continue to tell me what problems you've had with Miss Attitude over here.
It was like when I was going to Brenda's house.
Tell me what happened.
And I was going to my street so I could catch the bus back up to my house to get my clothes to go over to hers. And it was like in an intersection, and we were stopped at the light, and then Heather and like the people that were with me at the park or whatever were with her, and she walked in front of the bus, and she was just calling me names and stuff, and I was getting off at that stop, so I pulled the thing, and then I got off the bus or whatever. They all turned around, and then I just went in the corner store, and when I came back out, they weren't out there.
Why do you have any contact with her at all?
I just flipped her off.
Why?
Because she didn't like me, so I didn't want to like her.
Just a second. Between the time she was stabbed and last November, why did you have any negative contact with her at all?
I shouldn't have, but that was the only time that I said anything to her.
Why did you say anything to her?
I don't know. I was being stupid. But I have papers here that she wrote me. She wrote me first, before that day. She wrote me.
I'd like to see him.
I wrote her back, and then she wrote me again.
Yeah, she's saying to you, and she uses terrible, terrible language. You have to learn how to, use your words. Find some other language other than four-letter words to express yourself. Stay in school. But she's really saying to you here, why don't you leave me alone? Don't you have anything else to do? Now, what you do say is, I am loyal to my friends, so I'm going to stick by Shelley 100%. I don't like having beef with people, but Shelley was my best friend, and I honestly don't even know why the whole fight started, but you should not have gotten stabbed. But like I said, she is my homie, so I'm going to stick by her. What you're telling me, Mary, is that your conversation with her was stupid?
Pretty much. I shouldn't have called her, and I do apologize for that. I realize that she is the victim in the stabbing, and if I had any control over my sister, she wouldn't have been there.
Good girl. Sit down. Want to stand up, Miss Wilson? Next to your daughter? I'm going to tell you a story. Many years ago, when I was a family court judge, there was a young girl who was going to Fashion Institute of Technology, and she was on the subway by herself. And a group of girls, 5 of them, had nothing to do that day. So they got on the subway, and this girl, whose name was Marisol, was wearing big hoop earrings. This case was probably 20 years ago, but I remember it so distinctly because one of the girls said to her friends, "Run those earrings," which means steal the earrings. And they circled her, and one girl grabbed her by the hair, another girl ripped off the earrings, and the third girl stabbed her to death. She was 17 years old. And they got the stabber, and the stabber was tried for murder and convicted. You got that look on your face that I'd like to wipe off. Don't put it back on your face. I was sitting in family court at the time, and it was my job to try the other girls who were juveniles, and I convicted them all of murder, even the ones that didn't stab her, because but for the fact that they acted as a pack and they surrounded her and they were there giving her support, that girl would not have had the guts to take her on one-on-one. And I tell you now that that conviction was held up on appeal. So you are very lucky that nobody arrested you. You're very lucky that they didn't charge you, because if you were in my ballpark, you would be spending some time with Shelley. Meanwhile, it's going to cost you and your family $5,000, because that's what she's suing for, and that's what she's going to get. And I certainly hope that your mother gets you some help. Otherwise, you're going to be a miserable person your whole life. That's all. Thank you.
Al Friedman is suing the current owner of his previous home, Mike Zarba, for the balance of a loan and for disposing of his valuable war memorabilia.
Mr. Friedman, you had a piece of property, a home.
Yes.
And according to your complaint, at first you leased that home to Mr. Zarba. And then there was a discussion about him purchasing the home. He ultimately did purchase the home.
Yes.
He had some trouble with getting an appropriate mortgage because of some credit problems that he may have had. And you loaned him the closing costs, which
Correct.
were $20,000, with a promise that he would repay that money within 90 days.
60 days.
60 days.
Correct.
So first it is your claim that he owes you some of that money, $2,800?
As of, no, it's $1,800
$1,800
left on the loan.
The second part of your lawsuit is that there was an agreement between the two of you that you could keep some property at the house, which you claim Mr. Zarba discarded.
Correct.
Mr. Zarba acknowledges that he discarded the property. He said that he gave you enough time to get it out, and he's not paying you the $1,800 that he acknowledges he He owes on the original loan because he was forced to A, hire a dumpster to get rid of your stuff, and B, he stored it all that time. Is that right, Mr. Zarba?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you first rent this house, Mr. Zarba?
End of July 2004.
And when you rented the house, Mr. Friedman still had some property there in both the shed and in an attic?
Yes.
When did you purchase the house?
April 2005.
And when did Mr. Friedman loan you the $20,000?
The closing, but we had an agreement where I did some work for him, so it wasn't really a loan.
Listen to me. When did he loan you the $20,000, which you acknowledge in your answer?
It would be the beginning of April.
And how long were you supposed to have to repay this loan, Mr. Zarba?
In about 60 days.
Good. When does your receipt indicate that you hired this dumpster to get rid of his property?
August 5th.
When did you tell Mr. Friedman that you weren't going to pay him his $1,800 until he removed his property?
It was the end of July, right?
July
July
what?
20th.
And tell me about the conversation that you had with Mr. Friedman.
Well, he showed up unexpected again. He treated me like I was a mini storage.
Listen to me. What conversation did you have with him?
The conversation was, you need to take care of your stuff, get it out, and we'll settle up.
Well, he came to your property
Yes.
looking for money. He didn't come there looking to take his stuff. He came there looking for his $1,800.
Well, it was $2,800 then.
Oh,
I gave him $1,000.
And when you gave him the $1,000, you said, when you get the rest of your stuff out of here, you'll get your other $1,800.
Yes.
Is that what you said to him?
Yes.
And what did he say to you?
He said he was going to get it out. That was the only agreement we had.
And he said he would get it out.
He said he'd get it out.
Now, 2 weeks later, you disposed of his property.
Yes. Gave him till August 1st, in a few days.
Well, so far you didn't give him any time, sir. You didn't say that to me.
No.
You said,
Okay.
when you get your stuff out, I'll give you your money. That's what you said
But
to
I've
me.
been
I
asking-
repeat, listen to me.
Okay.
I repeated it twice to you.
Okay.
What troubles me, Mr. Zarba, quite frankly, is your answer. The first line of your answer is the most telling part of your character. Use nothing. We were overcharged for the home, considering its condition. And he's lucky we didn't charge him for storing the items. That you wrote. So what you're saying is that after you lived there for a while, and there were lots of things that you had to repair, and the house, you didn't like the condition of the house, you said, I want to renegotiate in my own way the sale price of this house because I overpaid him for the house to begin with. You didn't write there that we had an agreement that we would store the stuff until August 1st. He didn't pick up the stuff August 1st. I hired a dumpster. No. The first thing that you wrote, the most important thing that you wrote was, I didn't like the purchase price, and I'm going to take another $1,800 out of the purchase price because I deserve that. That's not the way life works, Mr. Zarba. Is this your first house?
No, ma'am.
Well, I don't know what you did in your other houses, sir, but that's not the way you close a house. You close a house, you negotiate a price, that's the price. Once you purchase it, you don't say, I think I overpaid for this house. Let me see how I can get the price down a little bit. We understand each other, Mr. Zarba?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect! Mr. Friedman, I want you to tell me what stuff, and I want you to be very careful because I am an ecumenical abuser. I don't like when somebody tries to put one over late in the game because that's what he did.
Yes.
I don't like when you try to put one over on me.
Yes.
So I want you to tell me what valuable items you left in the house.
And I've made a list, and I'll go
You
through
sure
the
you want me
list.
to look at that list?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to take a look at it.
The largest items on that list were two major important pieces to me were I had military boxes marked with military. I had a frame of when I was in Vietnam of a load crew in front of a plane that had my military ribbons on it. I'm a disabled veteran from Vietnam. There's also boxes I had marked with kids' items that had finger paintings in it from the time that they were kids and just paraphernalia that they did through the years.
What you're really telling me is that the only thing that were there was your memorabilia. That is valuable because two wooden Santa sleighs, handmade, 2 coolers, 2 sets of Malibu yard lights. I don't want to deal with that, sir.
Correct.
I had 10 years of postgraduate work. I don't deal with this. If it was important to you, you should have gotten it out. Now, you just disposed of everything, Mr. Zarba?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, that was the wrong thing to do.
There was nothing in there that looked like it was anything somebody would save. I've got pictures here.
I'm going to take a look at your pictures right now. Can I see the pictures, please?
I mean, this is where he left me. It's not pretty.
Well, the shed's not pretty. First of all, get a new camera or take photography lessons. I don't know what this is. Grass. I don't know what this is. I have no idea, sir. This is a whole major blur. Are you doing
I let
this on
him in
purpose?
several times.
Listen to me, sir. Are you doing this on purpose?
No, ma'am.
When you took a picture of the grass, I could see that this is grass.
Yeah.
This looks like a Hungarian goulash, sir.
It was in the attic. The lighting wasn't very good. I agree. The pictures don't look great.
Listen to me, Mr. Zarba. This has nothing to do with lighting.
Okay.
This looks like somebody who's had a bad hangover took these pictures. All right. He had no right to destroy your property, sir. He had no right to take it away. He owes you $1,800 because he's a deadbeat on a loan that he made, and he owes you $1,500 for what he threw out. I'm speaking.
Yes, ma'am.
Suing him for $4,300, I think that's excessive, sir, for the junk that you left there for over a year. But he has to be taught a lesson that he can't dispose of your stuff. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,300. That's it. Goodbye and good luck.
What is that excuse?